Chapter 1556. The entire 10,000 races battlefield was filled with cries. What was this? This was a symbol of glory and glory. Many people who were about to die in battle let out a hysterical roar. Their eyes were filled with tears. For most of them, it was not easy. They had fought with their lives on the line. In the end, they managed to kill their way out and dominate the top 10,000. We should be happy for them. The older generation sighed. Regardless of whether they knew each other or not, the top 10,000 killed their way out. They were bathed in blood and went crazy. In the end, they reached the top and emitted a shocking glory. Wan Chong, no matter how low their future achievements were, they would still be top true immortal experts. Among this group of people, there might even be grand heavenly experts in the future. They might even reach a more terrifying realm. The first stage of the Golden Age is over. In the outside world, many big shots opened their heavenly eyes in the chaos and looked at the 10,000 races battlefield. They were all powerful enough to shock the world. They were all void immortal overlords. Their auras swallowed the starry sky, and their courage was monstrous, especially for those who had killed their way out. It was not easy. They had given their all. Of course, most of them died in battle. There were also many who were severely injured. Looking at the Emperor Road's battle platform and the figures standing there, many sighed. There were also some who were timid and did not fight. When they saw the golden age of the 10,000 races battlefield, they roared to the sky and beat their chests. It was too late for regrets. For the losers, even if they were defeated, they would still try and fight. There was nothing to regret. Boom! Following this, the names on the magnificent and ancient monarch ranking disappeared without a trace, as a brand new name appeared in its place. It possessed a supreme brilliance on the monarch ranking. Yin Jiuyang. The world was shocked. It happened too fast. Even the big shots in the outside world were shocked. Almost everyone's eyes were gathered under the space-time wormhole of the strongest young overlord of the underworld. It was a blazing figure, like the overlord of the 9 nether purgatory. His ferocious aura was much more violent. At the moment when he was about to become a true immortal expert, in the endless darkness, golden light filled the sky. It was extremely sacred. One person seemed to have 2 supreme treasures. Yin and Yang rotated. It was as if the sound of reincarnation exploded between heaven and earth, making him peerless and terrifying. Is he really a reincarnated body? Many giants were shocked. This was a constitution that wasn't inferior to the connecting heaven immortal physique. From a certain perspective, it was the most powerful combat physique. There were some who said that this type of constitution could suppress the supreme precious body, and there were others who said that any supreme precious body could also become the most powerful battle constitution. Without a doubt, Underworld's Yin Jiuyang was the clan's most terrifying young supreme being. It was as if he carried the great Tao of reincarnation on his back, entering the true immortal domain. Moreover, he devoured a golden pill, great medicine refined by golden immortal cave, his entire being extremely glorious. At the critical moment of his breakthrough, the entire domain lit up and billions of strands of immortal matter began to flow towards Yin Jiuyang. This was a baptism of unmatched natural luck, helping him break through, establishing a terrifying true immortal Tao foundation. Moreover, during this process, Yin Jiuyang became more and more resplendent. In the end, he illuminated the starry sky of the cosmos. His figure was like an unrivaled overlord of the world, exceptionally powerful. Good. The underworld bloodline was excited. A group of ancient antiques felt that one of the reincarnation essences bestowed by the lore of Underworld should be given to Yin Jiuyang. As for who the other one should be, it was still impossible to determine. At this stage, the strongest person in the Underworld was Yin Jiuyang, the first-generation reincarnation constitution. I thought that the first one to enter the true immortal realm would be the young Devil King of the Celestial Court. I didn't expect it to be Yin Jiuyang. Yeah, the young Devil King has been crowned emperor. It's been almost a month since the ranking board showed up. But why hasn't there been any movement in his domain? This is ridiculous. Could it be that he can't even break through to the true immortal realm? The experts discussed heatedly. Many people looked at the Emperor Road battle platform where Su Yin sat cross-legged. It was too quiet, and it was difficult to see anything specific. In short, they were all confused. Why didn't he break through? Could it be that he was in a difficult situation? If the young Devil King can't even break through to the true immortal realm, he'll be the biggest joke. Someone said with a mocking expression, only those who have entered the true immortal realm can be shown by the Emperor board. Yin Jiuyang is the first one. No, there's already a second one, maybe even a third one. Everyone knew that the second stage of the Emperor board would show the true immortal experts. Only those who broke through to the true immortal realm under the Emperor board's illumination were qualified to be nominated for the Emperor board. Of course, the ranking board wasn't based on who broke through the fastest. Otherwise, the top of the top 10,000 ranking would be the current supreme of the Emperor board. This era was getting more and more eye-catching. More than 10 Sky Prides broke through one after another, causing the entire domain to resonate. Each of them was reflected on the peak of the domain, causing a huge commotion. In fact, hundreds of Sky Prides had also started to break through. Some people estimated that hundreds or even thousands of true immortal experts would appear on the first day. Perhaps these true immortals would step into the second heaven or even the third heaven of the true immortal realm under the baptism of the supreme creation on the Emperor Road. After all, the supreme overlords of the younger generation had accumulated too much. Once they broke through to the true immortal realm, their combat strength would skyrocket in a short period of time. Their strength would be completely different. At the same time, many Sky Prides who had failed to compete for the top spot on the Emperor board had also started to break through. This era was really glorious. Hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of young geniuses were all rushing toward the true immortal realm. What is that substance? It's too special. I think I can see the heaven and earth source chi rising one after another. It's mysterious and unpredictable. The outside world was in an uproar as they focused their attention on the Emperor Road battle platform, where the Tongtian young master was. He wasn't in a hurry to break through. Instead, he solemnly took out a small white jade cauldron. The heaven and earth source chi circled around the cauldron, releasing a brilliant flying immortal avatar. Soon, the substance in the cauldron poured down, causing the void to tremble. People were amazed. What kind of rare substance was that? It was as if the heaven and earth source chi had drowned the Tongtian young master. He was madly absorbing the substance. After all, he was the disciple of the Tongtian old man. It wasn't surprising that he had such a ridiculous amount of resources. Many people were speechless. The Tongtian immortal body was strong enough, and he had a great creation to absorb. It was hard to imagine how strong he would be in the future. Once I absorb and refine this substance, I'll be invincible in the future. So what if Yin Jiuyang is a reincarnated body? He's nothing to worry about. The Tongtian young master was powerful and confident. His master had paid a huge price to dig out this substance from a perilous land. Several universe epochs had passed since then. What a brilliant radiance. Even my life-bound time-space treasure can't see what it is. At this time, some people were paying attention to the strongest genius of the undying race. Although the race had a young supreme being who had lost to the Xian people's #1 supreme being, the undying race also had an unrivaled genius of the younger generation who rarely showed himself in the outside world. A mass of blood. It's too special. It turned into an undying deity. Could this be the undying race's most powerful precious blood? Using the most powerful precious blood to nourish the undying battle body. Is the undying race going to produce an undying body? This is the most powerful precious body, not inferior to the reincarnated physique. They were endlessly amazed. Unfortunately, they couldn't see more. Everything was in a blurry state. It was difficult to estimate what level the precious blood belonged to. Look, what did the Xian people's #1 supreme take out? The immortal heavenly domains, many immortal sects were paying attention to the most powerful group of Ingia first. The things they took out one after another that made the big shots jealous. They couldn't wait to fight for them. One had to know that these peerless geniuses were the strongest successors cultivated by the immortal sects with the strongest means. The things they took out were basically rare materials. For example, Fan Jian, who had disappeared for almost a year, took out a ball of connate sore body fluid, which was quite shocking. However, the Xian people's #1 supreme being took out a black substance, which surprised the other experts. They couldn't recognize what it was. First of all, the Xian people were too extraordinary. The thing the #1 supreme being of a race took out must be extremely powerful and special. I hope the #1 supreme being can succeed. That's a supreme substance that even our ancestors took great risks to obtain. Legend has it that it's closely related to the mysterious history of the ancient times. What's so surprising about that? He'll definitely succeed. Just wait patiently. In terms of time, it'll probably take a few months. The Xian people's experts discussed. They also didn't know what kind of treasure it was. The black substance had been kept for him. Now that he had used it, the most critical moment for the #1 supreme being had quietly arrived. After 1,000,000 years, I wonder what will happen in the 3rd stage of the monarch ranking battle. There's so many amazing resources that are hard to come by. Now that these young people are in charge of them, it seems that the world will soon belong to the young people. The outside world was getting more and more restless. Even some of the big shots were amazed. The path taken by the strongest geniuses of each race to lay down the foundation of the immortal Tao was not simple. From a human to an immortal, this was a major change in the nature of life. The immortal Tao realm was very important. Everyone wanted to lay down the strongest foundation. Almost 10 days had passed. A large number of Ingjia had succeeded. There were almost 5,000 names on the monarch ranking, and the golden treasure was slowly opening. In less than a month, the golden treasure would be completely opened. Su Yin had been silent all this time. He sat cross-legged on the Monarch Road's battle platform. His entire body was heating up. It was as if countless ants were crawling in his body. The evolution of the nature of life was progressing step by step. Su Yan's progress was very smooth under the nourishment of a huge amount of resources. All of a sudden, Su Yin felt as if he had turned into an ancient person. It was as if he had experienced many eras. The aura he exuded was somewhat ancient and terrifying. It was as if he was experiencing reincarnation after reincarnation. It was a very special transformation, a very magical journey. Su Yan's chest glowed, and the Tao sound of reincarnation appeared. This was Su Yan's natural special ability, and it had grown stronger. However, Su Yan knew very well that the reincarnation Great Tao was too profound and difficult to understand. Of course, he had evolved his reincarnation Great Tao with the help of the half-completed reincarnation elixir. However, to the current Su Yan, this special ability was not powerful enough. Is the reincarnation affecting my body, or is the treasure in my body too ancient? Su Yan mumbled. Under the illumination of the monarch ranking, he continuously unleashed his powerful potential. He felt as if he had turned into a monster. His body was like the boundless ancient universe. It looked a little withered, but the aura within was absolutely terrifying. No one knew what Su Yan had experienced. No one knew that he was still strengthening his body and strengthening the foundation of the immortal realm. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Chapter 1557. In the 10,000 tribe battlefield, the Emperor ranking was filled with 10,000 strong cultivators. A month had passed, and most of the geniuses had broken through. Only a few remained. Those who had broken through were madly absorbing the supreme creation baptism of the major domains. They were accumulating the energy and matter of the entire major domain. Who wouldn't want the foundation of the immortal Tao realm? However, in terms of time, they couldn't keep receiving this baptism. As time passed, they would become weaker and weaker. At present, some areas of the Golden Treasure Land had been opened. Countless cultivators had entered, and the number of people in the second stage of the Emperor Road had decreased significantly. The place where the gold was hidden was the main attraction. Su Yin was the only one left. He was still sitting cross-legged on the Emperor Road battle platform. His immortal Dao stones were almost depleted. This was a terrifying number. Hundreds of thousands of kilograms of immortal Dao stones were depleted in just a month. If word got out, it would shock everyone. Outside, many people were paying attention to Su Yin. His figure was lonely and empty. What was he doing? Was his primordial spirit exploring the immortal Dao? Was he really trapped? Many people didn't dare to speculate. After all, he had killed the son of a supreme being. He wasn't someone to be trifled with. Although Su Yan's physical body looked empty, the world inside his body was extremely spectacular. Su Yan, who was constantly awakening his life essence, had a body that was like the boundless universe. His mouth and nose exhaled clear air, and his body remained motionless. Time flew by, and gradually, Su Yan discovered a problem. His body's treasures were too magnificent. It was so magnificent that Su Yan couldn't penetrate, dig, and nourish it. This shocked him, and he fell into deep thought. Su Yan's spiritual will was exploring the boundless universe in his body. In the process, the chanting of sutras reverberated in his body. The beginning sutra was constantly circulating, and it never stopped. At this moment, Su Yan realized that if he didn't have the beginning sutra in this heaven art, he wouldn't be qualified to explore the mysteries of the human body's treasures. In fact, this was the great mystery of the life essence. As the sutra circulated, the boundless universe shone. His bones, organs, flesh, and even his hair and pores changed. For a moment, he looked especially majestic. It was as if he had been magnified many times. What a terrifying feeling, Su Yan said softly. He felt as if he could pierce through the heavens with a wave of his hand. He could collapse the heavens, earth, rivers, and mountains with a raise of his hand. His entire being seemed different as he emitted a boundless divine might. This is the initial sutra. It's too majestic. Dao Shuyi was right. This sutra is broad and profound. It's too profound and hard to understand. The deeper one cultivates, the more complicated the sutra becomes. Su Yan was speechless. Because of the changes in his physical body, his comprehension of the Origin Sutra had increased by a lot. He felt that this sutra was becoming more and more outrageous. It pushed his aura as if he was pushing the universe and the heavens, pushing the entire world. It was peerlessly powerful. But why do I have a feeling that this scripture is not suitable for me? Su Yan frowned. He felt that the beginning sutra was missing something, but he couldn't put his finger on it. As he thought about it, Su Yan shivered. Could it be that he had to improve his own heaven art and create a heaven art that truly belonged to him? However, for the current Su Yan, this path was extremely far away. I'll continue to explore and combine the changes in my physical body with the Origin Sutras. Either way, the more I acquire, the more my physical body will be fully open when the true immortal realm is upgraded. Su Yan calmed himself down and searched patiently. At the same time, he recalled the evolution chapter of the Xianhuang celestial domain. His entire being was silent again. His mind was wandering in the void. His spiritual will seemed to have left his physical body and was wandering in the boundless universe. Zhu Yanghua has had a breakthrough. Almost 2 months had passed. The number of people left in the 10,000 tribe battlefield gradually decreased. From this moment onward, Zhu Yanghua's breakthrough had caught everyone's attention. What's that? The crowd was shocked to discover a law-defying substance growing inside Zhu Yanghua's body. It was extremely terrifying. As soon as he had achieved the true immortal realm, Zhu Yanghua's aura had improved tremendously. He even emitted a peerless aura that could shake one's soul. Without a doubt, the fortune of the heavenly bamboo progenitor was unleashed inside Zhu Yanghua's body, causing his entire being to become scorching. Incredible. Zhu Yanghua will definitely become a great talent in the future. He has great hopes of entering the top 10 of the monarch ranking. A sect leader of an immortal orthodoxy exclaimed. He vaguely understood what substance it was and exclaimed, "Who knows? He might be able to reach an even more terrifying level." Incredible, incredible. The sect leader of an immortal orthodoxy exclaimed. The weight was completely different, and everyone was shocked. What substance was it? Could it be that all of them were comparable to the resources of the strongest group of people? Who is it? Who is it? However, beyond everyone's expectations, Zhu Yanghua was very glorious at this moment. However, in the next moment, Zhu Yanghua roared hysterically. He was about to go crazy. His eyes were about to pop out, and he was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. How is this possible? In an instant, the world trembled because they saw that the supreme golden core that Zhu Yanghua had taken out from the golden immortal cave collapsed after swallowing a few mouthfuls. What the F***CK? Fan Jian was about to head to the place where the gold was stored. He almost couldn't breathe. He thought that was Su Yan's doing. B****, how did this happen? The entire sky bamboo lineage went crazy. That was the golden immortal cave's golden core, the most powerful item for Zhu Yanghua to break through. Why did it collapse? Why? The world's experts were in heated discussion. What was the reason? Could it be that the sky bamboo lineage didn't want Zhu Yanghua to rise? How could such a huge revelation happen? Some sky bamboo experts thought that it was because of the young Devil King. However, it didn't make sense. That was the golden immortal cave's golden core. He had never come into contact with it. It was impossible for him to steal the energy substance within. Investigate. Investigate. Zhu Lihui flew into a rage and growled. There must be a traitor in the family. Go and investigate. You must dig him out and investigate to the end. Do not tolerate him. Capture all the experts who have come into contact with the pills of the golden immortal cave. Patriarch. The expressions of the sky bamboo experts changed drastically. Those who were qualified to come into contact with the golden immortal cave's pills were the patriarch experts of the family. Was Zhu Lihui taking revenge? They felt that it should be. Back then, Zhu Lihui was restricted by the family because of the seven-colored natal immortal fruit. He saw it as the greatest humiliation of his life. Now that something like this had happened, he had an excuse to use the family's strongest punishment to capture all the experts who came into contact with the golden immortal cave's pills and interrogate them. In short, the sky bamboo lineage was in chaos. There was a huge problem with the golden immortal grotto that threatened Zhu Senghua's future achievements. This matter infuriated the clan master, and he agreed to Zhu Lihui's suggestion without hesitation. I'm innocent, the group of patriarchs complained. What was this? Being detained and interrogated in the dark dungeon at such an old age? Their old faces were ashen. The people in the outside world were enjoying the show, and they all burst into laughter. What was going on? This kind of pill was impossible to buy. Even if they could find other materials to replace it in a short time, its effect would be greatly reduced. Look, what's the Xian people's first paragon doing? So far, there are less than 30 experts who haven't broken through in the 10,000 tribe battlefield. At this moment, someone had used a spatial treasure, a space-time treasure to reflect the location of the Xian people's first paragon. What's he doing? The crowd was dumbstruck. They discovered that the body of the immortal clan's #1 paragon was emitting crackling noises. Furthermore, it was beginning to crumble. The vigorous life force in his body suddenly fell to rock bottom. This was quite ridiculous. What was he doing? Destroying his own cultivation? What? Even some of the giants were frightened. The Xian people's first paragon was a powerful and invincible young paragon. But now he was cutting off his own cultivation. His aura had declined to the extreme. Is he going to cut off his own cultivation and start from scratch? Is he not satisfied with himself? Are you kidding me? Isn't he strong enough? Cutting off his own cultivation and starting from scratch? The whole world was in heated discussion. The storm caused by this matter was getting more and more shocking. In the end, people were surprised to find that the black substance that the Xian people's first paragon had swallowed was flowing out and wrapping around his body, completely rebuilding his broken body. It seems that he's really starting from scratch. People turned pale with fright. The Xian people's first paragon's cultivation speed was very fast. His aura was infinitely terrifying, like a chaotic ancient demon tearing apart the sky, emitting a magnificent dark light that blotted out the sky. Suddenly, people found that the entire region had become gloomy. Then, the Xian people's first paragon was like a blurry black immortal, emitting a terrifying light. It was too dazzling. Countless soldiers in the region were trembling. Countless people knelt on the ground and worshipped him, because his aura was too shocking and thick source chi was rising from his body as if he had become one with the universe, emitting an unimaginable yin chi. The Xian people's first paragon. The sect leaders of the major immortal sects were amazed. What was he doing by focusing on a shocking heavenly art in such a short time? How strong was he now? Look, the young Devil King's body is also cracking. He seems to be recultivating. What? Countless people's expressions changed drastically. The young Devil King's body was broken, and cracks were appearing. How could this be? Could it be that he was recultivating? That's impossible. The Xian people sneered. The young Devil King was comparable to the first paragon? What kind of joke was this? Even if he was recultivating, did he have the resources? Did he have the resources to recover in such a short time? The experts waited for several days, but Su Yin still didn't start to reconstruct his body. On the contrary, his body was becoming more and more damaged. There was even a vague aura of great destruction leaking out. Could it be that he has gone mad on the path of true immortality? Finally, someone said with a trembling voice, "The body is in tatters. This is the end of death." Could it be that the talented young Devil King is really going to die? The entire world was dumbstruck. Perhaps this was really the case. If he really died, then this would be a huge joke. No, he's still alive. Someone cried out loudly. He saw the young Devil King's broken palm move. However, his following action made the entire world become silent, because he picked up a handful of sparkling sand from the void treasure and filled the wounds on his body, as if he was repairing the holes on his body. The people in the world were dumbfounded. Their jaws almost fell off. Using sand to fill the wounds? This was, Someone from the Xian people burst into laughter. What a joke. His body is rotten, and he's trying to repair it with sand. He's really crazy. He's probably going mad in the process of comprehending the path of immortality. Chapter 1558. On the Emperor Road's battle platform, Su Yan's body was in tatters. Cracks had appeared all over his body. His injuries were so severe that he looked like he was about to collapse. In the eyes of outsiders, his injuries were especially severe. However, no blood flowed out from the open wounds, and his origin spirit did not leak out either. Therefore, some people thought that Su Yin might be recultivating. He might have sealed his body's functions, shattered his current realm and foundation, and completed a recultivation. Su Yin sat cross-legged on the Emperor Road's battle platform. His spiritual thoughts were a little fuzzy. His primordial spirit continued to remain silent. In the boundless universe of life essence in his body, he was exploring the profound meaning of life and studying the beginning sutra. An amazing scene occurred. Su Yan's primordial spirit was like the celestial emperor of the past. It took one step after another, as if it was traveling along a long road. It was also like Su Yin was imitating the ancient celestial emperors. He was advancing along the river of time step by step. It seemed like he was repeating the path of the celestial emperor in order to obtain more. There seems to be some problem with my body. On this day, Su Yan's soul light surged with emotional fluctuations. However, he found that it was not particularly serious. He was already very deep on the path of exploration. He did not want to give up just like that. If he were to start all over again, the time spent would not be considered much. However, he might not be able to obtain anything. There seemed to be a magical force in front of him that was affecting Su Yin and allowing him to continue moving forward. Crack! The destruction of his body was also an instinctive reaction. He took out some sand in a bizarre manner. Su Yin had a limited stock of this stuff. Back then, he had used up a lot of sand during the 10 transformations of the True Dragon. As for what this sand was, Suyin really could not tell. However, he realized that his body needed this stuff. There was a special connection between them. Buzz! A handful of sparkling and translucent sand, which looked like mud, was stuffed into the wound. Suddenly, a miraculous scene occurred. The cracks on Su Yan's body disappeared and healed on their own. A group of experts who were laughing at him were stunned. What kind of soil was this? It could mend human injuries? Some people felt that this thing was not simple, but no matter how they thought about it, they could not figure out what it was. In short, Su Yan's mortal body had healed. His withered mortal body blossomed with a mysterious radiance, as if he was sitting in a world of rolling fog. His figure flickered between light and darkness. The mysterious sand was very strange. It merged with Su Yan's body. Nothing could be seen from the outside. Boom! All of a sudden, a vast expanse of turbid air gushed out of Su Yan's mouth and nose. It was like some kind of special waste that was being excreted, causing his body to become flawless, dazzling, and sparkling like a piece of gold. This was the indestructible body, also known as the immortal golden body. In short, the world regarded this type of precious body as an indestructible and immortal constitution. The golden physique was like the birth of an immortal king, standing high above the 9 heavens and looking down on the common people of the universe. In the outside world, the experts of the immortal race were shocked. They felt that Su Yan's physique had changed and was undergoing some kind of special evolution or completion. Could it be that the mysterious sand he had brought out had accelerated the evolution of the immortal body? Boom! The endless mysterious world inside Su Yan's body was filled with endless mysteries and exuded the aura of great destruction. What happened? Su Yan's primordial spirit was walking on a path that explored the essence of life. It was getting deeper and deeper. It seemed like it was just inside his body, but in fact, it was like he was traveling in the chaos of the universe. He found that the world he was traveling in had changed. It was terrifying and ever-changing. It was steaming with the ancient mysteries of life. What is this? Su Yan's primordial spirit stood in the endless world and looked up at the universe. He frowned. He found a shocking energy that seemed to have existed for billions of years. It was slowly coming from the distant past and finally poured into his boundless universe. This was an unimaginable energy substance. It was hard to imagine what it represented. Everything was used. Su Yan's primordial spirit trembled as if it was about to collapse. It made his soul flicker. Not good. At this moment, Su Yan's complexion changed. When he looked back, he found that the path he was following was filled with fog of chaos. It seemed that he couldn't find the way back. This was ridiculous. He was clearly exploring the universe of life in a human body, but now he was lost. He was lost in a mysterious environment. Damn it! Su Yan's complexion sank. He found that he was lost and couldn't find the way back. I'm afraid that some special change has occurred in my mortal body. It's causing my life essence to undergo unfathomable changes. There were some things that Su Yan couldn't explain clearly. They were too profound. This was his inner world, but Su Yan was facing a crisis that he couldn't leave. In short, he had to return now. Su Yan felt that there was a great problem with his mortal body. If his primordial spirit couldn't return to his mortal body in time, the consequences would be dire. Su Yan took a deep breath. He stabilized his mind in the lost world. At this moment, Su Yan's repaired mortal body was ruined once more. The aura of great annihilation flowed through him, as if the universe was aging, dying. As everyone knew, if the primordial spirit left the body for too long, the mortal body would lose its vitality. Gradually, one's blood vitality would dry up and one's life would wither away. One would face death. His mortal body was in excruciating pain, but out of instinct, Su Yan grabbed some sand from his storage space once more. There was a limited amount of sand left. He didn't know what it was, but his mortal body needed it to repair itself. But this time, the sand that filled his wounds lost its effect and fell to the ground. Ha, look at that idiot. He's gone mad. Is the young demon king finished? The soil in his hands should be medicinal soil. It looks like it. Medicinal soil is an extremely precious object. It can only be found in medicinal gardens that have settled down for countless years. It contains terrifying medicinal properties, but it's usually used to refine pills. For him to eat it like that, is he an idiot? He took a bite before. Now that he's eating it again, it's no longer effective. It looks like this medicinal soil isn't that powerful. The people discussed and commented that the young Demon King's condition was not good. His mortal body was in tatters and could collapse at any time. Some Xian people experts said with murderous intent. If it weren't for the protection of the Emperor Road Battle platform, a random soldier would have been enough to sacrifice the young Demon King alive. What's the point of sacrificing him alive? Wouldn't it be better to keep him alive? He must have been severely injured in the process of exploring the true immortal path. The crowd discussed heatedly. At present, the Emperor Road Battle platform had revealed 9,998 names. Only 2 names were missing. One was the number 1 paragon of the Xian people, and the other was the young Demon King. Only the 2 of them had yet to make a breakthrough. The rest had stepped into the true immortal realm. A group of true immortals even left to explore the golden treasure trove. Time passed day after day. Another half a month had passed. A large number of people left the Emperor Road Battle platform. Many true immortals were in tears. Before they left, they wanted to see the glorious scene of the top 10,000 list. However, the young Demon King was a holdout. That's right. The number 1 paragon of the Xian people was about to make a breakthrough. However, the young Demon King did not make a move. What was he doing? Could it be that he had encountered a great crisis and was facing death? His injuries were worsening. This was not a good thing. With this holdout, it was unknown how long they would have to wait for the Emperor Road Battle platform to be released. This was because such a thing had never happened before. I can't scold him. It's all thanks to this holdout young Demon King that I was able to get this spot. I really hope he can survive this. Many people sighed. If the Celestial Court had not taken the initiative to seize several spots on the Emperor Road Battle platform, they might not have the courage to stand out at the end of the top 10,000 battle. Many people had a good impression of him. There was even a trace of respect. After all, he had killed Xian Kuei. His battle record was quite shocking. He was already a hot topic in the celestial domain. He was a hot topic. Can't I get out? In the vast world of chaotic fog, Su Yan's primordial spirit wandered around. He did not know how long he had spent or how far he had traveled. In short, he realized that there was fog and chaos everywhere. The more he studied, the more he wanted to return. He realized that this world was too ancient and mysterious. It was also filled with the aura of destruction. The longer he was delayed, the more Su Yan felt that he was in danger. He felt that there was a big problem with his physical body. Although he could not sense the existence of his physical body, he could feel that the injuries on his physical body were worsening. If his primordial spirit left his body for too long, Su Yan's physical body might die in a different way. Damn it! How can I get out? This is too ridiculous. This is the world in my body. Su Yan roared. He did not know what he had experienced. It was as if he was trapped in the past billions of years. The special environment and the terrifying influence made Su Yan lose control of his mind. Despair? It doesn't exist. I have already died once. Su Yan gradually calmed down. In the chaotic fog, his eyes were wide open. He tried to open up a path with all kinds of mystiques. But after trying all kinds of methods, he still could not peel open the chaotic fog and return to his previous world. If I master the one sword severing the epoch, I will definitely be able to return. I still have hope of returning, mastering my physical body, and stepping into the true immortal realm. Subconsciously, Su Yan thought of something. He suddenly felt that the environment he had experienced was very similar to the mysterious world he had gone to through the heaven-destroying sword formation and along the long river of time. Heaven-destroying sword path, heaven-destroying sword path. Su Yan's eyes were blazing. His primordial spirit body was blazing to the extreme. His primordial spirit body, which had merged with the white fog, was powerful and almost at the peak of the true immortal realm. Since I can't go back, I will break it open by force." Su Yan roared. If he did not seal the third sword will now, when would he? He tried to communicate with it and shorten the time as much as possible to open the third sword will world. Look, he has broken through. The first paragon of the Xian people, the 9,999th person to break through to the true immortal realm. It is hard to imagine how terrifying he will be after recultivating. On this day, the outside world was in an uproar. After all, the first paragon of the Xian people was one of the most popular candidates. How could he not attract attention? Now, he was finally no longer silent. He had accumulated enough strength and started to break through. It was as if he had blasted open the chaotic ancient world and turned into a terrifying, chaotic ancient demon. He has finally broken through. The Xian people laughed. It had to be said that he was too brilliant. He had broken himself and recultivated, stood at the peak in a short time, and even went one level higher, opening the door to a breakthrough. Poor young Demon King. He's going to die of old age. Some people sneered. A powerful enemy died just like that? Can you not compare the young Demon King with the first paragon of our race? He was indeed qualified in the past, but now he can't even break through to the true immortal realm. Some great figures of the Xian people frowned. This was completely a chicken and a phoenix. How could they be lumped together? Su Yan looked too weak. At this time, it was really difficult to compare him with the first paragon, especially his primordial spirit, which had sunk into the fog of chaos. However, from this moment onwards, Su Yan's primordial spirit blossomed with terrifying soul light. The third sword art began to slowly unseal. One sword severs time. Suddenly, Su Yan heard a deafening divine sound explode in the chaos. He looked down at the skeletal remains on the Tao pillar and the shocking sword of time that was being unleashed upon him. One sword severs time. Responding to everyone's call, erupt today. Chapter 1559. The foggy and mysterious world was like another time and space, another ancient world. It was also like the boundless universe. It was mysterious and difficult to explore. Moreover, there were fluctuations from the ancient times. It was as if the mysterious source of order that had been dormant for hundreds of millions of years was being unsealed and released. In short, in this vast world and mysterious environment, only Su Yan's primordial spirit was struggling madly to escape. He could feel that there was a big problem with his physical body. If he stayed here for a long time, his physical body might really wither and die. That would be a big joke. If his primordial spirit was trapped in the process of exploring his own life essence, no one would dare to believe in Su Yan's miraculous experience. Now, he could only pin his hopes on the heaven-destroying sword doctrine. This shocking inheritance was getting more and more involved. The fairy-slaying sword of the Xian people was mysteriously related to the heaven-destroying sword doctrine. The mysterious world that the four sages' sword realm of the sword catacomb led to was also closely related to the heaven-destroying sword doctrine. This could very well be the terrifying inheritance of a mysterious ancient history that had passed away hundreds of millions of years ago. Then, could the mysterious skeleton in the black-yellow universe have really lived for hundreds of millions of years? This was a little too frightening. At the same time, it was enough to show how mysterious and terrifying the heaven-destroying sword doctrine was. One sword to cut immortality, one sword to cut immortality, one sword to cut immortality, and finally the third sword doctrine supreme art was unsealed. One sword to cut through time. The majestic and imposing name had a special effect. When the sword to cut through time exploded in Su Yan's primordial spirit, it was as if the world had returned to eternity and the heavens and earth had returned to nothingness. It was as if the heavens and earth had fallen into a frozen time domain. It was as if time and age had disappeared. What a shocking supreme art this was. When the sword radiance was released in Su Yan's primordial spirit, Su Yan felt that he had aged and his life was coming to an end. He was going to wither away. What a terrifying divine power, Su Yan was shocked. One sword to cut through time. If it really hit a person's body, it was hard to imagine how devastating the blow would be. This spell isn't something I can use right now. One slash and I'll most likely die. Su Yan was speechless. However, he had no other choice now. He had to give it his all. He could not afford to waste any more time. Once the Emperor Road battle platform judged him dead, the Xian people alone would be enough to tear his body into pieces, let alone himself. In fact, this divine ability was very difficult to cultivate. However, it was different now. Su Yan was trapped in this mysterious world, and the terrifying power of time itself existed. Therefore, Su Yan was very confident that he could grasp the time slash in a short period of time. Buzz! Su Yan's primordial spirit glowed, releasing astonishing soul energy fluctuations in this foggy world. When he entered a deeper level of the single sword severing time, he suddenly saw that when the sword light split open, the sky was filled with space-time fragments, and the light of time rained down. Time seemed to have truly disappeared. Time seemed to have stopped flowing. However, Su Yan had a feeling that time was jumping and speeding up. It was as if millions of years had passed, causing his primordial spirit to appear weak and old. Su Yan's primordial spirit quickly withered, as if he had truly entered a state of death. His primordial spirit was cold, and there were no fluctuations coming from it. Boom! Suddenly, Su Yan's primordial spirit trembled violently, releasing an earth-shattering sound that broke the silence and lit up the darkness. This secret art is too ridiculous. I almost died just now. Su Yan's heart palpitated. He could not bear to watch for a short period of time. This was enough to show how heaven-defying one sword severing time was. This is the influence of the laws, the influence of order. Su Yan's Tao heart was firm. He concealed his spirit and qi to ensure that he would not lose himself in it. This secret art was extremely terrifying. Since it involved something related to time, he had to be careful when dealing with it. In this mysterious world, he could barely sense the flow of time. Everything was too quiet. Only Su Yan's primordial spirit glowed and exploded occasionally, causing some commotion to let him know that he was still alive. However, the longer he stayed here, the more unstable his physical body became. On the Emperor Road battle platform, Su Yan's flesh shell was torn apart. There was even a crack on his forehead. He looked miserable. His physical body was weakening. This was the loss of his life force. Soon, decades passed in the blink of an eye. This was a heavy blow to Su Yan. He was aging continuously. The young Devil King can't take it anymore. He's going to die. His life force is declining. At this moment, many experts from the Xian people had gathered below the Emperor Road battle platform. Someone sneered, "Trash. He can't even break through to the true immortal realm. What a piece of trash. Moreover, he died in the process of breaking through. Don't you think this young Devil King can really be called the number one?" Ha ha ha. A series of laughter could be heard. They could clearly see that Su Yan's life force was declining. His life force was weakening, and the wounds on his physical body were increasing. What scripture is the number one young supreme of the Xian people cultivating? Our space-time treasured mirror can't see the sequence of his breakthrough. The outside world was not calm. Even some of the big shots were suspicious. Could it be that he had switched to cultivating the Lunar Mother Scripture? However, this scripture was incomplete. The Xian people should know. Although the Lunar Mother Scripture was powerful, wouldn't it be misleading to let him cultivate an incomplete scripture? Back then, Xian Jun had also cultivated the Lunar Mother Scripture. However, he was killed by the young Devil King. Could the ancestor of the Xian people have perfected this strongest heavenly technique? Very few forces knew about the origin of the Lunar Mother Scripture. Some old antiques had read about it in ancient books. It was said that this was one of the strongest mother scriptures of heaven and earth in ancient times. Its power was unimaginable. If the number one supreme of the Xian people cultivated the complete Lunar Mother Scripture, it was hard to imagine how powerful he would be in the future. No one could tell what the number one supreme of the Xian people was cultivating. However, he was indeed breaking through. The dense light of darkness covered the sky and the sun, plunging the entire region into darkness. Boom! Even the light of darkness broke through the space-time wormhole one after another, breaking through the path to heaven. The scene was spectacular to the extreme. The commotion caused by this breakthrough was truly shocking. All of the energy in the great domain surged toward the immortal race's #1 paragon. His entire body transformed into a black vortex that welcomed all of the energy. This throughput, everyone was shocked. How much energy did he need to accumulate? Currently, a large number of cultivators from the 10,000 tribes battlefield were rushing toward the golden treasure trove. Even more than half of the experts on the top 10,000 list had left. The remaining cultivators were quite limited. Many geniuses broke through one after another and stepped into the second heaven of the true immortal realm. Those who were well prepared even rushed toward the third heaven of the true immortal realm. Without a doubt, the baptism of the top 10,000 list had saved them at least a few decades of cultivation. After all, it took a lot of time to stabilize the realm of the true immortal realm. These people had such a strong foundation that they needed even more time. There were shocking examples in the past. There was a genius on the Emperor list who stepped into the peak true immortal realm in a short 10 years. This was quite shocking. The speed was so fast that it made one's hair stand on end. Generally speaking, it was considered fast to go from the first heaven of the true immortal realm to the peak true immortal realm in 100 years. However, 10 years was a little ridiculous. The #1 supreme of the Cien people is almost done breaking through. Someone exclaimed. Then, he looked at the tattered shadow on the Emperor Road's battle platform with pity inside. What a pity. The strongest young supreme of the celestial court can't even break through the true immortal realm. He's going to die in the breakthrough. How pitiful. Some of the big shots did not know whether to laugh or cry. This was a little too pitiful. Wasn't this too unlucky? Broken corporeal body, the boundless universe and heavens. A cold world, a mysterious environment. A primordial spirit sat cross-legged in the middle, sometimes old, sometimes young. Time passed slowly. He didn't know how many years had passed. Suddenly, Su Yan's primordial spirit was extremely weak. His entire primordial spirit dimmed and was about to disappear. "I'm going to die," Su Yan's primordial spirit murmured. There was neither joy nor sorrow, and there was no expression on his face. Instead, his aging body looked solemn and dignified. He seemed especially holy and valiant. Boom! Su Yan's weakened primordial spirit suddenly blazed. Although the radiance it emitted was very dim, his essence, chi, and spirit were too tenacious. It was as if an invisible sword embryo was sketched out, hidden in the passage of time and eternity. Time slash! Su Yan roared. His weakened primordial spirit wielded an illusory time sword and slashed at the void. An unbelievable scene took place. During the process, the time sword and Su Yan's primordial spirit merged into one. In an instant, his primordial spirit's energy surged. It was filled with a terrifying aura of time. It was as if the path of life and death had been cut off in the cycle of reincarnation. In a hopeless situation, he had slashed open a ray of hope. For a moment, he released a terrifying soul light. He was reborn from death. He had also experienced a miraculous journey. He had been resurrected from death, and he had become young again from old age. It was as if he had reversed the long river of time. He had skipped the 5 elements and returned to the past. Su Yan's understanding of slashing time with a single sword was rather limited. Slash, slash, slash. Just like that, low growls are heard one after another. They exploded one after another. Su Yan swung the time sword continuously and slashed at the void. With every slash of the sword, a crack would appear on his primordial spirit. What was this? The heaven-punishing sword path was too domineering. It dealt 1,000 damage to the enemy and 800 damage to oneself. With every slash, Su Yan's primordial spirit was in so much pain that it was about to explode. It was so old that it was about to die. However, at the same time, with every slash, Su Yan's understanding of this divine ability grew deeper and deeper. In the end, Su Yin slashed at the void tens of thousands of times. Su Yan's primordial spirit was densely covered with cracks. It was really like a porcelain that was about to shatter. Life and death sword. Open for me. Su Yan's remnant spirit roared. He gambled everything and unleashed his strongest sword attack. The sword of the void was like the passage of time, eternity, and time. It slashed into the foggy, chaotic world. The scene in the sky finally exploded. His primordial spirit returned to his physical body, but it was so painful that it almost fainted. His primordial spirit was severely injured, and his physical body was in tatters. He looked extremely weak and old. Similarly, he was in excruciating pain. In order to return, he kept slashing himself with the time sword. He almost died in the process. However, he was back. His battered, primordial spirit returned to his physical body. He's alive. He's alive. The place was in an uproar. Many experts were gathered below the Emperor Road's battle platform. There were Xian people, the underworld, and the wondrous heaven sect. They were all waiting for Su Yin to be sent flying by the Emperor Road's battle platform so that they could snatch his treasures. However, to their surprise, Su Yin survived. He stood up. His physical body was in tatters, and his expression was pained. B asterisk star, so what if he's alive? He can't even penetrate the true immortal realm. He's doomed. Some Xian people sneered. If I wait here, he'll definitely be kicked out of the Emperor Road's battle platform. Then, it'll be his death. I'm still alive. Su Yin gasped for breath. He breathed in the pure energy that filled the world. His physical injuries were not serious. It was his primordial spirit that was severely injured. I have to break through. Otherwise, I'll really die here. True immortal realm, break through for me. Su Yin let out a long howl. He burned his strongest potential with all his might and broke through the shackles of a major realm. From a human to an immortal, Su Yin had come. Breakthrough of the Nail House. Chapter 3. Brothers begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1560. The Emperor Road battle platform shook violently. The aura Su Yin had awakened was too shocking. Although his body was damaged, it was only a superficial wound. Even if his life source was damaged, it would not hinder Su Yan's breakthrough. His accumulation in the immortal realm was too strong. He had also gained a lot from the Emperor Board's illumination. Now that he had fully recovered, he released a divine light and received the immortal path. Boom! The entire great region began to rumble. The path of immortality descended, filling the entire great region. Moreover, the entire starry sky began to rise and fall, swaying and shaking. The entire world seemed to be trembling. What a terrifying immortal path. What kind of immortal path is the young Devil King receiving? How can he bear it? Some immortal Dao realm experts felt their scalps go numb. The majestic immortal path descended, as if the universe was rumbling. For a moment, Su Yan's aura was terrifying. Look, the young Devil King is awakening. He's also starting to break through. Wasn't he on the verge of death? Why is he suddenly climbing up? The outside world was also stirred up. No one had expected Su Yin, who was on the verge of death, to climb up and open the immortal path so quickly. This made some people's faces burn. They had thought that the young Devil King would be trapped in the immortal path until he died. They did not expect him to start to break through to the true immortal realm. So what if he's broken through? He's nothing in front of the first supreme of our race. The people of the Xian people sneered. Although they were angry, no one could interfere with the young Devil King's breakthrough. Moreover, the appearance of the first supreme of the Xian people was becoming more and more shocking. The materials they brought out were even more shocking. 8th grade life essence evolution fluid. Some of the supreme experts of the undying heavenly domain were envious. It was a waste to let an immortal realm expert use such a thing. Strictly speaking, the 8th grade life essence evolution fluid was very helpful even for true immortals of the great all-embracing heaven. Moreover, this thing was considered a pass for true immortals of the great all-embracing heaven. It was extremely rare. In the vast, undying heavenly domain, There were only a handful of people who could concoct the 8th grade life essence evolution fluid. Walala! Expanse after expanse of the light of the great Tao appeared, as if the chi of heaven and earth was being born. Endless auspicious signs rose, and flowers of the great Tao took root within, chanting the sound of the Tao of heaven and earth. The entire great region was filled with purple energy from the east, and auspicious multicolored light filled the sky. It was vast and mighty, its power shaking the heavens. The number one supreme being of the Xian people seemed to be in a mythical fairyland. His mouth and nose absorbed the chi of heaven and earth, and the flowers of the Tao drilled into his body through the top of his head. His aura was infinitely terrifying and powerful. This was the embodiment of the heavens and earth's creation. The grade 8 life essence evolution fluid required all kinds of materials that were hard to find in the world. There were all kinds of source chi, all kinds of creation materials, all kinds of shocking mineral liquids. Isn't this too extravagant? The giants all sighed in admiration, their eyes becoming red. They all wanted to seize it. That was an 8th grade life essence evolution fluid. It was as if it was nurturing a golden immortal. His aura rapidly surged and expanded, eventually forming a vast ocean that was about to drown the entire realm. All of the creatures in the great region were terrified. Large groups of them knelt down, prostrating themselves in worship towards the number one supreme being of the Xian people. This scene was enough to shock the world. The creatures of the entire region prostrated themselves in worship, causing the number one supreme being of the Xian people to become even more world-shocking. He blossomed with matchless radiance, as if he was the only supreme being of the world, shocking the ancients and dazzling the contemporaries. Kacha! All of a sudden, concentrated sounds of bones cracking could be heard. Immediately after, bloody light gushed out from his pores, dyeing his entire body red. Everyone was shocked. What was going on? This was the embodiment of death. Could it be that the 8th grade life essence evolution fluid was too difficult for him to endure? He's being reborn. At this moment, an old antique saw some clues and sighed in admiration. As expected of the 8th grade life essence evolution fluid, swallowing it during the process of breaking through to the true immortal realm has the effect of being reborn. In a certain sense, it's equivalent to completing the foundation of the golden immortal realm ahead of time. In the future, it will save him a lot of detours. The various races were somewhat silent. Just how powerful was the number one supreme being of the Xian people? To be reborn in this domain, it was hard to imagine what level he would reach in the future. The young Devil King actually has dragon blood. Dragon blood and phoenix blood refine the body at the same time. Although it can't be compared to the 8th grade life essence evolution fluid, it's definitely not an ordinary substance. At this moment, there were people who were paying attention to Su Yan. He took out the phoenix blood and dragon blood and bathed in the precious blood essence of the two supreme beings. His battered body healed, and his entire body flowed with boundless divine power. Under the nourishment of the dragon blood and phoenix blood, Su Yan's body shone brilliantly like an immortal sun hanging in the sky. Without a doubt, Su Yan's life force continued to be powerful. Moreover, his body, under the nourishment of the two great precious blood, was able to capture one's soul. It stored an unimaginable source of power. However, Su Yan discovered that his body was a bit strange, but he couldn't tell what it was exactly. This made him somewhat astonished. The Xian people's expressions were unsightly. The dragon blood was most likely obtained from the void treasures of the Xian people, and the phoenix blood was also a breakthrough item for the son of a supreme being. Now, he possessed two shocking resources. Although they were shocking, they weren't on the same level as the 8th grade life essence evolution fluid of the Xian people's number one supreme being. Starry Sky, Chalcedony. He even has this thing. Someone saw Su Yan take out a jar of a dazzling silver substance. After absorbing and refining it, every bone in his body transformed, and his meridians strengthened as if they were opening up rivers and mountains in his body. The volume of his exhalation suddenly soared by a large amount. It was as if a starry sky dragon was swallowing. The effect of his substance was quite special. It required a strong body to bear the weight. Once it was perfectly refined, the meridians in the body would expand, and it would be as shocking and extraordinary as the starry sky. This is our race's resource, our race's. The Sien people's ancestors flushed red, but they didn't dare to make a sound, let alone shout. It was too shameful. The things Su Yin took out in succession were all treasures of the Sien people. Now, Su Yin didn't hesitate to take them out and refine them all. Under the nourishment of the phoenix blood, the dragon blood, and the starry sky, chalcedony, Su Yan's entire body shone with immortal light. His vitality was as vast as the sea, exuding a magnificent human body that covered the sky. This is a golden core made by the golden immortal cave. How many blessed lands does the celestial court have? I didn't expect the young Devil King to have this. Something's not right. The golden core doesn't look mature. It doesn't even look like a golden core made by the golden immortal cave. This is indeed the golden immortal cave's golden core. I wonder what it went through. It doesn't match its original appearance. Some people from the immortal sects were also quite surprised. The celestial court had been destroyed for millions of years. Although some forces were still preserved, did this race really still have a top blessed land? Without a doubt, the supreme golden core made by the golden immortal cave couldn't be bought with money. This golden core, could it be? From this moment on, the celestial bamboo sect's disciples all changed. Some people's faces changed as they suddenly thought of something. Their bodies trembled violently, and they almost vomited blood. It's him. It's definitely him. He stole the energy of our golden core. Zhu Lihui's palms were also trembling. He was trying his best to control his emotions, not wanting others to know about this scandal. The 7 colored elemental immortal fruits were stolen by Su Yin, which was a great loss. After all, there were 2 of them. Now, he didn't let go of the golden immortal cave's golden core. Otherwise, how could he explain that Su Yin also had a golden core? Young Devil King, I want to cut him into pieces. He's too much. If we don't kill this kid, what face do we have? What face do we have in the immortal celestial domain? In short, the experts of the celestial bamboo were about to explode from anger. Everything was clear now. In short, the 2 strongest resources that their race was proud of had been used for Su Yan's benefit. Some of the celestial bamboo people were so angry that they were about to cry. You dare to take the 2 strongest resources, and you even dared to use them. How delightful. At this moment, Su Yin let out a low roar. The 4 great resources were included in his body, causing his body to feel like it was about to explode. Refine, he roared. The initial sutra spun faster in his body, and soon formed a sutra of sutra order. It sorted out the 4 great resources and nourished Su Yan's precious body. Boom! In the end, boundless divine energy ripples surged out from Su Yan's body and forcefully tore the sky apart. Moreover, it spread out and seemed to fill the entire region. Roar! Su Yan roared into the sky. His long black hair danced in the wind. He was like a burning human torch. The most important moment had arrived. His immortal foundation was fully unleashed, and he was being nourished by various resources. His body was evolving toward the body of a true immortal. At this moment, the immortal path that was born between heaven and earth had completely merged with Su Yin. All of a sudden, Su Yin felt a special fluctuation in his heart. It was as if he had left the mortal world and turned into a supreme god. Is this a true immortal? Su Yin murmured. There was a special emotion in his heart. It was very complicated and hard to describe. It was as if he was ascending, but also as if he was reincarnated. The immortal path was a brand new path. Su Yin had come into contact with it. From this moment onwards, the initial sutra operated and opened up the immortal path. The scene of chaos splitting open appeared in his body. All things were born, and the universe was rebuilt. This was the Tao technique that Su Yin obtained from the emperor ranking. His body seemed to have exploded and reconstructed, turning into a human immortal. Break! Su Yen roared. His long black hair danced in the wind, and his body blazed. The immortal path's laws finally bloomed. It was like a tsunami sinking the earth, creating a world-destroying storm. Su Yen had broken through to the true immortal realm. It was as if a true dragon had broken its shackles and pierced through a special domain, turning into an immortal path dragon. In the end, the Emperor ranking appeared in the sky again. 9,999 titles had already appeared. Now, only the young Devil King was left. When the 10,000th title lit up, it appeared in front of the eyes of the world in a strange and ridiculous way. Su Yen, 4th update, Chapter 1561. The Monarch ranking has appeared. It's about to release the results. The holdout has finally broken through. I was just about to explore the golden treasure ground. I didn't expect the holdout to break through. This is great. Who's the holdout? I'm really curious about his name. He wouldn't use a fake name at such a glorious moment, would he? Although the young Devil King is ferocious now, shouldn't he at least have a name? I see it. The 10,000th name, Su Yen. The whole world was in a heated discussion. The experts were curious about his real name. Perhaps they could find out some of his past through his name. Rumble. In this short period of time, the Monarch ranking erupted. It was dazzling and spread across the battlefield. Endless glorious light shone down as if it was celebrating for them. A special celebration for the 10,000 experts. 10,000 names and 10,000 figures appeared on the Monarch ranking at the same time. For a moment, they were exceptionally shocking and eye-catching. It was a symbol of glory. Su Yen. The gazes of countless cultivators were fixed on the name that was in the last place. Suddenly, the world fell silent. It was so quiet that one could even hear a pin drop. This is really something to be happy about. I'm still alive and here. Su Yen's nose was a little sour. His eyes were almost filled with tears. His chest rose and fell violently. His emotions were surging. He had finally broken through. He could finally stand upright between the heavens and earth and prove himself. The world knew that he was the young Devil King. They knew that he was Xia Kunlun. They knew that he was the young supreme of the celestial court. However, I didn't know his name, but his name was Su Yen, a man who was once dead, a man who fell in the undying heavenly domain, a man who died in the dark calamity. Now that he had stepped into the true immortal realm, Su Yen roared at the sky. He wanted to prove himself. He was still alive. He was very powerful. In the future, he would definitely be even more powerful and shocking. Su Yen. He's Su Yen. Among the silent Xian people, Xian Tyran finally roared. The veins on his body bulged as he pointed at the name on the list and roared. This is impossible. He died in the dark calamity. There's no way he could have come out alive. Xian Tyran's eyes were bloodshot, and his entire body was trembling. Although he was doing his best to control himself, he was unable to suppress the fury in his heart. Is there something wrong with the Monarch ranking? Someone stammered as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He had participated in the battle of the mysterious yellow universe and knew what had happened there. But the Monarch board made a mistake? That was even more impossible. The Monarch ranking recorded the life imprints of all the challengers. Now that Su Yen had become a true immortal, his name appeared on the top 10,000 list. That meant that he was the old Su Yen. Besides, there were no two people with the name Su Yen on the Monarch ranking. He's here for revenge. Revenge. Ridiculous, really ridiculous. Xian Tyran roared angrily. Everything was clear now, and he had to believe it even if he didn't want to. Although he didn't know how he survived, the Xian people's sufferings over the years were enough to explain everything. Su Yen was the culprit. He was here for revenge. Now, the whole world was in an uproar. What was going on? Su Yen, who was on the Monarch ranking alone, appeared on the top 10,000 list again. He was still alive, and he was even the young Devil King. This shocking news spread throughout the heavens and earth, sweeping through the lands and causing countless people to discuss it passionately. That was Some of the big shots didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The people of the whole world had been tricked by him. From Xia Kunlun to the young Devil King, and now Su Yin, he had given them too much shock. The young Devil King is Su Yin? What a joke. Didn't the Xian people say that he's dead? How can he still appear? He's someone from the Xianwang universe. A little native from a broken universe is actually the young Devil King. The whole world was shocked. Too many people were talking about it. Many things were revealed, and the world found it hard to believe. He killed Xian Tyran's daughter, a peak true immortal, when he was in the immortal realm. Unbelievable. The experts of the major immortal sects gasped. This was too ridiculous. If it weren't for the Monarch rankings reflection, no one would know that he was Su Yin. At this moment, Su Yin was the center of attention. He stood on the Monarch Road's battle platform. Although he was in the true immortal realm, he was exceptionally powerful and dazzling. However, Su Yin felt that he was too weak, as if his kidneys were weak. He looked strong on the outside, but he was weak on the inside. He was even hungry. He was so hungry that he wanted to eat everything he saw. This is the period of weakness. Su Yan's eyes narrowed. Those who had just stepped into the true immortal realm would have a period of weakness. Long Daesong had a period of weakness in the past, but he was still as ferocious as ever. Su Yan's period of weakness was quite severe as well. Usually, if he wanted to get through this period of weakness, he would have to spend a lot of resources and wait for a long time. However, it was different here. The moment he reflected the Monarch ranking, the entire great region shook. Then, a rolling tide of energy gathered and helped Su Yin replenish the energy he needed to become a true immortal. The process was spectacular. Su Yin had swallowed the great region with his aura. Due to the uniqueness of the Monarch Road's battle platform, the moment Su Yan's chest rose and fell, the entire great region rose and fell as well. Boundless energy surged toward Su Yin like rivers flowing into the sea. A huge amount of energy flowed through Su Yan's body. It was as if 1,000,000 caddies of immortal path stones were burning at the same time. It caused Su Yan's declining aura to grow wildly. Moreover, a terrifying aura emanated from his body and swept through the entire great region. How terrifying! Countless people trembled. Countless people wanted to kneel on the ground and worship Su Yin. However, most people were unwilling. They endured the crushing pressure and left the great region in fear. Is this the potential of a true immortal? He's only just started accumulating, and it's already so frightening. Some people who were kneeling on the ground trembled, unable to control their emotions. At this moment, Su Yin was too glorious. He was like a supreme god who ruled over the great region. His majesty shocked the world. Su Yin, how did he survive? Zhu Lihui lost control and kept roaring. His hair was disheveled. This was a heavy blow to him. He even felt like he was suffocating. He actually survived, crawling out from the darkness. Moreover, he was a weak, undying back then, yet he actually grew to such a level. He was so savage that even a supreme being personally killed him. He felt like he was dreaming. This is impossible. At the same time, there were screams. Zhu Yao's eyes were about to split open when she saw the name on the emperor ranking. She didn't want to admit that the young Devil King was Su Yin. From this moment on, she understood why the young Devil King attacked her. It was all because of Bamboo Moon. It was all because of her. I hate it, Zhu Yao cried out in grief. Back then, she really wanted to kill Bamboo Moon and the people of the lower world celestial bamboo bloodline. But now it was too late. Su Yin was already here. He definitely wouldn't spare her. Absolutely not. Chapter 1 the first and second time appeared consecutively. Then there would be a third time, a trash that escaped from the Xianwang universe. On this day, the undying heavenly domain was boiling with cold, killing intent. The wondrous heaven sect, the underworld, the Xian people, a series of immortal orthodoxies stood out. Their expressions were cold. A total of 10 orthodoxies had gloomy expressions and were filled with cold, killing intent. He must die. No, he must be captured alive. Some of the big shots said. Su Yin was different. He was the strongest young man in the Xianwang universe. He must have mastered the Origin Sutra and might even know the secrets of the Xianhuang heavenly domain's evolution. He might even have the treasures of the celestial court. The forces left by the underworld in the Xianhuang universe were eliminated by him. It's time to settle the score. The people of the underworld also said that he must be eliminated. Su Yan was strong enough. If they didn't stop him, there might be a super wanted criminal in the future. The celestial court can be spared. An old man from the Wondrous Heaven sect said coldly. But what does the past have to do with the kid? Since he's hostile to the Wondrous Heaven sect, we can't let him live. One after another, the great sects made their stance clear. There is no doubt that these people were the leaders of the terrorist groups. It was not an exaggeration to call Su Yan a kid. After all, they were too strong. They were all Daluo old ancestors. This was a storm. The great immortal orthodoxies issued the strongest kill order. No one doubted Su Yan's performance in the second stage of the Emperor Road. However, the third stage of the Emperor Road was the highlight. They didn't believe that Su Yan could kill his way out of the encirclement. Many experts can't wait to get rid of me, right? Su Yan, who was bathing in the essence of the great domain, said coldly, "They're all here. I'll take all of them." Then, Su Yan's aura shook violently. In just half a day, he had accumulated a lot of power. The aura of the immortal Tao realm kept spewing out and burning. Roar! Finally, the top of Su Yan's head evaporated one after another. Immortal Tao true dragons roared and pierced through the sky. They broke through the space-time wormhole and even rushed to the path to heaven. Two beams of immortal Tao light bloomed on the magnificent path to heaven. Somehow, they had a terrifying connection with each other. Slash! The number one paragon of the Xian people was awakened. The aura from his body shot out explosively, penetrating the path to heaven and turning into a terrifying figure. It crossed the path to heaven and charged toward the great domain where Su Yan was. Ha ha ha, come on. Su Yan's black hair danced wildly. His eyes were like lightning as he let out a loud roar. It was as if the sky was falling and the earth was cracking. Su Yan's head was surging with qi and blood. It rushed up and outlined a majestic golden figure. It also followed the path to heaven and headed toward the great domain where the number one paragon of the Xian people was. Under everyone's shocked gaze, the two paragons released their qi and blood essence, penetrating the path to heaven. Even though they were separated by almost 100 great regions, they still exploded with the most powerful force at lightning speed. They collided with each other along the way, forming a destructive tide. The great stars in the sky trembled, and even a moon exploded in its dimness. The true immortal realm was full of power. The young paragons of the celestial court and the Xian people stood on the Emperor Road's battle platform. They released their shocking power and finally fought each other. The nail house is broken through. Let's celebrate Su Yan. Chapter 1562. This is, the Supremes are fighting. All living beings were shocked, and the vast path to heaven was shaking. Along the way, energy waves roared. The storm rolled and rippled, almost turning into a huge energy vortex that could devour the world. In an instant, it seemed to have penetrated hundreds of large domains, whose fighting for supremacy. Along the way, the living beings in the various large domains were terrified. Currently, in the 10,000 tribe battlefield, 99% of the true immortal powerhouses had left. There were very few left, very limited. Too many immortal beings were terrified. Energy swept along the path to heaven. When it passed, darkness covered the sun, and the weather was frightening. What was going on? Why did it trigger such a spectacular energy wave? There are powerhouses fighting for their lives on the path to heaven. Everyone was shocked. It was very difficult to see the specific process. Only the powerhouses in the outside world could see the awakening of two world-shocking powers. At the same time, the qi and blood essence surged out from the top of their heads and attacked each other along the path to heaven. One side was covered by darkness, and the other side was filled with golden light. It was as if two extreme powers were born. Along the way, The heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Ghosts cried and gods howled. The auras of both sides were extremely ferocious. The moment the two great sources of energy collided, everyone was terrified, and the sun and moon wailed. Dazzling light was also born. It was so dazzling that people's eyes were about to bleed. This scene was quite spectacular. There were hundreds of large domains between them, and on the path to heaven, an earth-shattering confrontation unfolded. This was boldness. This was a domineering stance, and it shocked everyone in the world. This attack was also almost evenly matched. No one could do anything to the other. Slash. The Xian people's #1 supremes had a cold expression. He knew very well who Su Yin was. This black fog originated from Su Yin. He was now somewhat suspicious. Could the person who had attacked him twice before be Su Yin? In short, regardless of whether it was true or not, Su Yin was already a dead man in his eyes. Dark tides gushed out from his entire body, rolling and rippling as if millions of black, true phoenixes had left their bodies and attacked Su Yin along the path to heaven. One had to know that Su Yin and the #1 supreme being of the Xian people could both gather the essence of a great domain. Their foundations were too shocking. When they erupted with all their might, they used their magical power to pierce through the path to heaven and kill their enemies. Su Yin sat cross-legged on the Emperor Road battle platform. His hair danced in the wind, and his essence, qi, and spirit were at their peak. His entire body was ablaze, blooming with vitality. Streams of golden qi and blood gushed out from his pores, piercing through the clouds and surging toward the path to heaven. Roar! A corner of the path to heaven trembled even more violently. The energy emitted from both sides increased by a large margin. Along the path to heaven, it ignored all the pressure and obstacles. Separated by such a long space-time path, it still carried out a peerless collision. Boom! There was a deafening explosion, and the entire great domain shook violently. At the point where the energies collided, a terrifying aura spread out. The living beings in the great domain were terrified. Many ferocious beasts prostrated themselves on the ground, trembling. They felt as if their bodies were about to explode. Is this the power of someone who has just stepped into the true immortal realm? In the outside world, the important figures of various races were shocked. Their foundations were ridiculously strong. Both of them had shocking foundations. At the same time, Su Yan's strength was beyond their knowledge. However, when they thought about how he had stepped into the true immortal realm with the help of the 4 great resources, they were no exception. Moreover, they could borrow the energy of the great domain. Hence, they could unleash a combat strength that was almost invincible among the true immortal realm. The two energy storms collided again. Then the scene on the path to heaven changed drastically. The dense light of darkness suddenly spun, and soon outlined a pitch-black phoenix with 9 heads. This is the Undying 9 Phoenix, a peerless secret art that has been extinct for a long time. The pitch-black 9 Phoenix exuded supreme majesty, looking down on all living beings in the universe. It had 9 heads. Rumor had it that this was an almost immortal creature. The Undying 9 Phoenix was also an extinct supreme creature with endless potential. It had 9 lives and an incomparably long lifespan. Now, the Undying 9 Phoenix clan's great supernatural power had manifested. The golden divine light that filled the sky was blasted apart. Good. Our first supreme is invincible. The powerhouses of the Xian people growled. He's just a dead man. He can't withstand the first supreme's invincible attack. Su Yin, a man who was once dead, is standing out in the open. This is trampling on the dignity of the Xian people. He must be killed. The Xian people were too angry. Back then, when they attacked the Xianhuang universe, they suffered heavy casualties. Even their ancestors died in battle, and a large number of peak true immortals died. In the end, Su Yin was exhausted to death. But now he was still alive. How could the Xian people swallow this anger? Don't worry. Su Yin is a stepping stone for our first supreme. Some of the ancestral patriarchs of the various clans also calmed down and looked forward to obtaining more black mist or other treasures from Su Yan. Boom! The black phoenix, which was 100,000 feet tall, was bathed in black flames. Its huge body quickly filled a corner of the path to heaven. It was big enough to cover the sky and the sun. Roar! The undying 9 phoenixes roared and shattered the sky. Almost in an instant, they charged along the path to heaven. The huge pitch-black figure filled the space-time wormhole that Su Yan was in and emitted a world-shocking, ferocious aura. Can the young Devil King withstand the undying 9 Phoenix? This is an extinct secret art. It's not inferior to the most powerful supernatural powers in history. It's comparable to the true dragon secret art. The beings in this large region were terrified. They were almost suffocated by the aura of the undying 9 Phoenix. In the blink of an eye, darkness enveloped the entire region. The undying 9 Phoenixes were entrenched on the path to the heavens. In the blink of an eye, they slashed down with their gigantic wings and ferocious head, seemingly capable of splitting the entire region apart. The heroes trembled and fell to the ground. Suddenly, someone shouted excitedly. They saw Su Yan raise his hand. A golden sword ray shot out and expanded rapidly. It quickly peeled away the darkness. The sword cut through the sky with peerless sharpness. The young Devil King is too strong. The people exclaimed. The darkness in the sky exploded. The sword ray split open the undying 9 Phoenix's flesh shell and blew up its entire body. The blood of a supreme being was spilled in the sky, just like that. However, to everyone's surprise, the undying 9 Phoenix's head exploded. Its aura became even more terrifying and ferocious. It reached out with its huge black claws and launched a fierce attack on Su Yan, who was entrenched on the Emperor Road's battle platform. Everyone knew that the good fortune of the Emperor Road's battle platform had not ended. Su Yan would always be protected. But at the same time, if Su Yan did not attack, it would mean that he was weaker than the first supreme being. The undying 9 Phoenix has 9 lives. This secret technique is strange. But does it want to attack me 9 times in a row? Su Yan sat cross-legged on the Emperor Road's battle platform. His eyes were cold, and his black hair was draped over his shoulders. Boom! As Su Yan's chest rose and fell, the sword ray that filled the sky was born on its own. It was entwined with the law of immortal Tao and an aura that could destroy all living things. In fact, Su Yan's sword body technique at the true immortal realm was too stunning. As his sword body technique was pushed to the limit, it was obvious that it was different. It was imperceptibly carrying the divine might of the immortal slaying sword. Su Yan was surprised. The two were indeed closely related. Although this was not the immortal slaying sword, the sword body technique carried a certain order of the immortal slaying sword. In an instant, it was like a guillotine that could cut through the immortals. Its sharpness was peerless. Boom! The terrifying golden guillotine was formed by billions of sword rays. It slashed upward, cutting through the dark storm that filled the sky, and slashed toward the black, undying 9 Phoenix. The undying 9 Phoenix was an earth-shattering superpower. It possessed a rather shocking order of the law. Its huge claws reached down and could easily destroy the world. It directly collided with the guillotine that was slashing toward it. In an instant, the path to heaven was densely covered with large cracks. Slash, slash, slash. Everyone was shocked as they witnessed Su Yan's savagery. He was like a great demon king as he continuously brandished his sword body technique. He chopped down a total of 8 times and chopped off the head. The great divine ability vanished like smoke into thin air. The number 1 paragon of the Xian people frowned slightly. He had underestimated Su Yan. He was not inferior to any of the young paragons that he had defeated before. He was strong and powerful. It was no wonder that Xian Kuei was killed by him. Boom! He sat cross-legged on the ground. On the Emperor Road battle platform, Su Yan's body glowed. His mouth and nose spewed out streams of air. The law and order intertwined, mysterious and unpredictable. The world thought that Su Yan was preparing a great superpower. Who knew that after a few breaths, he would rush toward the number one paragon of the Cien people. He was crazy. Everyone in the world was shocked. What was he going to do? He spat out a few breaths and rushed toward the number one paragon of the Cien people. Wasn't this method too violent? Young Devil King. Who is he humiliating? Su Yan's domineering behavior completely angered the higher-ups of the Cien people. They spat out a few breaths and rushed toward him. Who do you think you are? A paragon of the current age? A peerless Taoist master? A group of big shots also laughed. They were afraid that Su Yan would run away in fear. Since he took the initiative to attack, he had also angered the number one paragon of the Cien people. Boom! Those who were originally mocking Su Yan all shut their mouths, because these breaths of air were tens of thousands of times hotter. It was like a vast ocean crashing down. The air was magnified, and it was as if the universe was replaying itself, giving birth to a supreme warrior immortal. What kind of Tao technique is that? The crowd was shocked. They spat out a breath and gave birth to a Su Yan. His roar shook the starry sky, and his magic power was monstrous. Kill! Su Yan roared. The technique he created was unleashed. This was the essence of the cosmic fist. It was equivalent to the birth of another Su Yan. It had his essence, chi, and spirit, and his invincible divine might. Come out and fight. Su Yan's figure crossed the path to heaven and charged toward the Cien people's number one paragon along the way. He carried a terrifying tide of energy and an invincible belief. He began to pounce toward the space-time wormhole where the number one paragon of the Cien people was. This battle was also fought to his heart's content. He no longer had to worry about running out of magic power. He could fully unleash his power and unleash it to his heart's content. The number one paragon of the Cien people sat cross-legged on the Emperor Road battle platform. He erupted. He fully awakened. Black lights surged, and the sound of waves surged. Then it rapidly magnified, as if covering the heavens of the universe. He released the power of the Mother Sutra of heaven and earth, and energy fluctuations that made one's heart tremble flowed. Was this a true immortal? They sensed a particularly majestic power of the sutra. At this moment, the number one paragon of the Cien people seemed to have turned into a carrier of heaven and earth. It was also as if the mother of heaven and earth was blooming, and the energy of the entire great domain roared. This is the Lunar Mother Sutra. Su Yan was shocked. He said, "It's much more terrifying than what the Cien people have grasped. Could it be that he's cultivating the complete chapter?" In fact, the reason why the number one paragon of the Cien people was cultivating the Lunar Mother Sutra was entirely because of the black mist. Although this sutra was incomplete, it was still the Mother Sutra of heaven and earth. Its value was unimaginable. Perhaps it could be completed in the future. However, what surprised the number one paragon of the Cien people was that in the process of cultivating the Lunar Mother Sutra, this incomplete sutra was actually much more complete because of the effect of the black mist. Therefore, the number one paragon of the Cien people was shocked. What kind of substance was this? Could it be a prehistoric supreme substance? Prehistoric mother chi? In short, the number one paragon of the Cien people was determined to get the other substance. Suddenly, just as the Lunar Mother Sutra was operating to the extreme, the number one paragon of the Cien people screamed. The Lunar Mother Sutra was operating on its own, and it sped up countless times as if it had met its natural enemy. What's that? The number one paragon of the Cien people opened his cold eyes. It was as if he could see through the battlefield of the 10,000 races and see the golden treasure ground, a golden land of fortune. The fatal attraction came from the Lunar Mother Sutra. Could it be? Was there a Mother Sutra of heaven and earth that was like the Lunar Mother Sutra hidden here? Or was it some other great opportunity? A meat bun fell from the sky and hit my head. In the mysterious land of fortune, a creature with black and white fur suddenly got up. It widened its panda eyes and looked at the space of fortune that was close at hand. It was so excited that it almost fainted. Just as it was about to roar, it instantly covered its mouth with its claws and grinned. It had to keep this a secret. It couldn't let a second person know. It was the best way to make a fortune quietly. Chapter 1563. What's going on? At first, some of the big shots were watching the battle patiently. After all, the Xian people's first paragon and Su Yin were no ordinary people. If they really fought, it would be a spectacular battle. However, to their surprise, the Xian people's first paragon left without stopping. He tore the path to heaven apart and headed toward the golden treasure ground. What was he doing? Everyone was astonished. The number one supreme expert of the immortal race had left. He had left without even looking back. Even if he didn't want to fight the young Devil King, he wouldn't have left just like that, right? After all, the Xian people's first paragon had just stepped into the true immortal realm. The baptism of the supreme creation had just begun. However, the Xian people's first paragon left just like that. Everyone was shocked. What happened that made the Xian people's first paragon give up on the great creation? Why did he leave just like that? The Xian people didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The time to bathe in the creation had come, but the Xian people's first paragon chose to leave. However, some of the big shots looked serious. Something big must have happened. Otherwise, he wouldn't have left in such a hurry. Although everyone wanted this creation, it wasn't a big loss for the Xian people's first paragon. The Xian people's foundation was enough to give the Xian people's first paragon such an environment. It didn't matter if he lost it. However, the important thing was what made the Xian people's first paragon leave without stopping. Could it be that the golden treasure ground had really opened a great creation? One should know that the golden treasure ground was now extremely cruel and bloody. Too many of the younger generation had stepped into the true immortal realm. The entire Emperor Road structure was completely different. After all, the golden treasure ground was a place where great creations gathered. Rare treasures were nothing new. The battles everywhere were extremely fierce, and large-scale battles were breaking out all over the world. Guys, look, then, the experts of various races were shocked. The Xian people's first paragon was too fast. He even used some of his trump cards and caused quite a commotion. Everyone saw a creature that was pitch black like ink rush out. Its body was over 100,000 zhang in size, and its black demonic body covered the sky. It carried the Xian people's number one supreme being across the path to heaven. The black supreme being had 9 vicious heads. Its body was like a black phoenix, but its heads were ice-cold, beautiful faces. Its mouth and nose spat out black flames that burned through layers of the void. The 9-headed phoenix's entire body was covered in black flames, as if the flames of hell were burning. This was the undying 9-headed phoenix, a legendary supreme being. Now, it had been reduced to the flying mount of the Xian people's number one supreme being. This shocked the world. It was a flying mount that even the authorities would be envious of, a symbol of their status. Similarly, the undying 9 phoenixes definitely possessed the strength of the top 100 cultivators on the monarch ranking. However, such a powerful supreme being had actually been reduced to a mount. This caused the world to be shocked by the strength of the Xian people's number one supreme being. Moreover, he was extremely mysterious. As for how many trump cards he had, it was still unknown. Everyone assemble. Quick! At this moment, the Xian people's first domain was in constant turmoil. Countless soldiers and horses were gathering rapidly. Although tens of thousands of elite soldiers had killed their way into the golden treasure trove, the first domain was filled with powerful cultivators and countless young, perfected immortals. All of them were very powerful. They ordered the entire city to assemble quickly. Elder, what's going on? I'm stabilizing my cultivation in the perfected immortal realm. Can I go over later? Zhu Shang's attitude was respectful as he asked the 6th heaven true immortal curiously. Zhu Shang had already become a perfected immortal. He had obtained a perfected immortal pill and reached the perfected immortal realm. Originally, the Xian people viewed Zhu Shang and the soldiers who had escaped from the second domain in a different light. However, before they left, Yin Ke gave Zhu Shang a large number of treasures. Zhu Shang was naturally unwilling to accept that. He was living under someone else's roof and was not valued. Just like that, he bribed the 6th heaven Xian people. A perfected immortal elder was taken care of by him. No, the number one supreme being of our race has given an order. He has discovered a place of great fortune. He wants our entire army to assemble. This shocked Zhu Sheng. He asked, "What place of fortune? Is our number one supreme being unable to take it down? And he wants all of us to go over?" It's hard to say. It should be very important. This is also a precautionary measure. I've followed the number one supreme being for many years, but I've never seen him place so much importance on something. It seems like the place of fortune is very important. If word gets out, it will most likely cause a stir. This sixth heaven perfected immortal was a peak perfected immortal who had killed himself to enter the Emperor Road. He had a high status among the Xian people and held great power. Otherwise, Zhu Sheng would not have bribed him with so many treasures. CNMO valued Zhu Sheng very much. This kid was very good at dealing with people. In his eyes, this kind of person was worth nurturing. CNMO also instructed him not to spread the news and to follow the order. In short, the Xian people's first domain caused quite a stir. The world did not know what was going on. The battle between him and Su Yin could start any time, but at this critical moment, the number one supreme of the Xian people left. I thought we would be able to see the body of the young Devil King soon. I didn't expect something like this to happen. Some of the Xian people felt sorry for him. They looked at Su Yin, who was absorbing the essence of the great domain on the Emperor Road's battle platform. Without a doubt, Su Yan's aura had become stronger under the baptism of the great fortune. He left in such a hurry. What happened? Su Yan's face darkened. He had disappeared without a trace in a short time. It was difficult to chase after him. Moreover, Su Yan did not plan to leave. He still had some major problems to solve. If he did not deal with them in time, the consequences would be unimaginable. 1. Su Yan's body was burning. It drew upon endless immortal energy to cleanse his flesh. His body of flesh became more and more brilliant with each passing day. As time went on, his body became more and more extraordinary, releasing golden holy radiance. With every raise of his hand, terrifying immortal Tao laws would descend into the world, making him seem peerless and terrifying. This is a true immortal, Su Yin muttered to himself. His flesh and blood glowed, but it was like a burning immortal furnace. His life force was too exuberant, and there were powerful laws in his body that wrapped around his entire body, making him look like an immortal divine weapon. Su Yan's body was shocking. He had also stepped into the true immortal realm with the help of the 4 top materials. Of course, Su Yan's specific state was not yet seen. He had not passed the period of weakness. Su Yin had been absorbing the essence and energy of the entire region day and night. The amount of energy he had spat out was quite frightening. The entire region had become somewhat dim. Even so, his weakened state lasted for a total of 5 days and 5 nights before it finally ended. He's really powerful. He seems to have endless energy. Everything was perfect. He had the power to break through the sky and grab the stars and the moon at any time. It was a qualitative leap from the immortal realm to the true immortal realm. Just the sound of his heartbeat was like the beating of a heavenly drum. It shook heaven and earth. He could produce a large amount of essence and blood at any time to replenish his body's energy. Rolling golden holy light shone in all directions, drowning the entire Emperor Road battle platform. This was Su Yan's current strength. He stood at the second heaven of the true immortal realm. Moreover, he was still absorbing the essence of the great domain. He felt that he was very close to the third heaven. Su Yan could not help but sigh. As expected of a place of great fortune, it had saved him more than 10 years. Moreover, he could continue to grow stronger. The baptism of the supreme creation had not weakened. He cherished every minute and tried his best to strengthen his own realm. Day after day passed. The great domain Su Yin was in was slightly dark. This made the outside world exclaim. With such a shocking throughput, he would definitely become a top-notch true immortal. Perhaps he has a great chance of being in the top 10 of the Emperor rankings in the future. Some people in the outside world were discussing. Legend had it that Su Yin had mastered the 3 pure ones in one breath. The power of Sure was the 2 most powerful Abhijanas in history. Now that he had a supreme treasure body and various techniques, he had a great chance of being in the top 10 of the Emperor rankings. On the Emperor Road's battle platform, endless divine radiance spread. Su Yan's body was shaking gently. Although his human body's functions were superb, his powerful flesh shell was shaking. His face was pale, and blood was flowing out from the corner of his mouth. "It's coming," Su Yan clenched his fists. Because he had stepped into the true immortal realm, he had suppressed his primordial spirit. Moreover, his primordial spirit had grown much stronger because of the breakthrough. However, the sword slash time. Tens of thousands of slashes had severely injured Su Yan's primordial spirit. In his sea of consciousness, his primordial spirit was damaged. Although the soul chi flowing in it was powerful, his primordial spirit was unrecognizable. It was like a broken god, and his soul would disperse at any time. Su Yan could no longer suppress his primordial spirit. Su Yan smiled bitterly. It would be ridiculous if others knew that he had injured his primordial spirit. However, since things had come to this, he had to find a way to solve it. This was the sword slash time. Tens of thousands of slashes had injured him severely. Even if Su Yan suppressed it with the Sutra of Future, it would not be very effective. The heaven mending technique was also very difficult to heal his primordial spirit. What should I do? Su Yan frowned. He had some primordial spirit mystic medicines, but they were not very useful for primordial spirit injuries. If he allowed his injuries to continue worsening, it would affect Su Yan greatly. It would be difficult for him to stand in his peak state. Su Yan's body shone. In the process of seizing the essence of the great domain and strengthening his body, he also activated a huge amount of undying matter to try and repair his primordial spirit. However, as the days passed, not only did his primordial spirit injuries not improve, they became even more serious. This gave Su Yan a headache. The injuries to his primordial spirit were very serious, and they were caused by himself. He had to admit that the sword slash time was too powerful. It threatened the foundation of Su Yan's primordial spirit. In the end, after 10 days, Su Yan's primordial spirit trembled violently. The terrifying sword edge seemed to have cut open time and severed life. Cough! Su Yan coughed up a mouthful of blood. His entire body was unstable because his frontal bone had cracked. A terrifying wound covered his entire body. He had almost been cleaved apart. In a short period of time, the endless essence chi gathered. A thick smell of blood bloomed and dyed half the sky red. Su Yan's cultivation was heaven-defying. He was already a true immortal expert. Now that such a huge change had happened in his life, there would be no small phenomenon. Su Yan frowned. The injuries to his primordial spirit were terrible. Although it was not a threat to his life, he could not let it go on for long. He had to resolve it as soon as possible. At this moment, he thought of the treasure given to him by the Tao Shui. It was the most important thing to Su Yan. It was time to use it. Heavens, look! Is the young Devil King dying? What happened to him? His injuries are terrible. He just stepped into the true immortal realm. Why would something so ridiculous happen? Everyone was shocked. Why would Su Yan, who had been cultivating on the Emperor Road's battle platform, suddenly suffer such serious injuries? That's right. At this moment, someone from the Xian people said, "The young Devil King must have been injured by our first paragon. He has suffered serious internal injuries that will be difficult to heal. He has held on for so many days, but in the end, he can't take it anymore." The people did not quite agree with the Xian people's statement. But how could they explain the young Devil King's injuries? He had not used any force during this time. Some of the Xian people could not hold back and release their killing intent. Once he was seriously injured, it would be an excellent opportunity to kill the young Devil King. I think we should give the order to mobilize people to trap this big region. The experts of the Underworld faction also wanted to kill. They were jealous of the treasures in the Xianwang universe. Chapter 1564. On the Emperor Road battle platform, the bloody light that filled the sky quickly dissipated. Su Yan endured the intense pain from his primordial spirit and suppressed the effects on his body. He gulped down the essence of heaven and earth to nourish his body. No, his body was too strong. Even after suffering such a terrible injury to his primordial spirit, Su Yan's foundation was not threatened. Now he was drawing on a huge amount of essence to nourish his injured body. Boom! Su Yan's chi and blood began to surge. A true immortal's body contained the essence of the immortal path, which was very effective in healing injuries. Especially when combined with the heaven patching technique, his body was developing in a good direction. This surprised those who were paying close attention to Su Yan. It seemed that he did not suffer any serious injuries and was recovering. But how could he explain what happened just now? Some of the Xian people's experts felt that something was amiss. They kept spying on Su Yan with their space-time treasured mirrors, hoping to see his true appearance. Unfortunately, the energy source gathered in the Emperor Road battle platform was too strong. They could not see clearly. Just like that, days passed. Su Yan was fine. This made the Xian people gnash their teeth. They were annoyed just looking at him. They could not wait to see him die. Bam! About 5 to 6 days later, Su Yan's body trembled violently once again. The qi and blood in his body were unstable, causing blood to flow out from the corner of his mouth once again. Moreover, his entire body was flickering, as if he had suffered a terrifying injury. What happened to him? Someone could not help but ask. They wanted to know what kind of difficulties the young Devil King was facing. No one could say for sure. In short, Su Yan was injured again. His qi and blood were unstable, and some cracks appeared on his body. It seemed that his injuries were very serious. However, the Xian people were disappointed again. Su Yan gathered the essence of heaven and earth again to rebuild his body. He suppressed the trembling qi and blood in his body and calmed down. Although the injury to my primordial spirit is dangerous, it can't threaten my foundation. Su Yan calmed down. The injury was a headache, but with his current foundation and special environment, it could not threaten his life for the time being. He also tried to suppress the injury to his primordial spirit with his many advantages. Unfortunately, he could not do it. Sigh, if the potential of the white mist is released again, it might be able to heal my primordial spirit. Unfortunately, the potential of this thing is too amazing. I can't activate it on my own. Su Yan sighed, and then he noticed that the speed at which the Emperor Road battle platform's energy was gathering had begun to slow. The creation time is almost over. Time. Su Yan calmed down and crazily stole the energy sources of the entire world. Time was already very limited. He continued to grow stronger and accumulate an even more terrifying foundation. It was not until 3 days later that Su Yan broke through. 3 layers of immortal path, light, rose from behind him. Together with a blurry yet majestic immortal path descending from the sky, it filled the universe and created a turbulent tide of energy. Su Yan had broken through, and his aura was still soaring. His aura could swallow the entire region, and he had to cherish the little time he had left. He has broken through. Has his injury healed? The Xian people's experts who were paying attention to him did not look too good. He had been injured twice in a row. Now that he had broken through, it seemed that his injury had been resolved. Some people were disappointed. It seemed that they would not be able to see his corpse anytime soon. It seems that many people want me dead. Su Yan touched his chin. The creation baptism of the Emperor Road's battle platform was getting weaker and weaker. It was of limited help to him. But this time, he was almost at the peak of the 3rd level true immortal realm. If he had cultivated hard in the outside world, who knew how long it would take for him to reach this level? But he had only used a month. Now, in the 10,000 tribe battlefield and the 10,000 Emperor Road battle platforms, there were only a few people left. Su Yan was one of them. He suddenly revealed an evil smile. Let's wait and see. Xian people, Underworld, Wondrous Heaven Sect, and other forces. I want to see what kind of attack you can unleash on me. Su Yan closed his eyes. He was not going to leave because there was still something important to do. Although the injury to his primordial spirit could not be healed in a short time, his primordial spirit would not have any major problems. As long as he could stabilize his physical body and maintain his combat strength, He believed that he could find a solution in the golden treasure trove. It's time to do something big. Su Yan's heart was surging with emotions. He looked around carefully and cautiously. He deliberately released energy to block the detection of the secret treasure of time and space to interfere with the vision of some people. Then, Su Yan quickly took out a colorful jade bottle. This was a treasure given to him by Dao Shui. The substance hidden in it was very strange and terrifying. It was enough to help Su Yan improve his cultivation in the true immortal realm by a large margin. Come on. Su Yan poured out the energy substance in the jade bottle. It was like a boundless universe. He could not find the source. The Tao and Dharma in it were too terrifying. Although Su Yan did not know what it was, it would be of great help to the initial sutra. Boom! Suddenly, Su Yan felt that he had changed. It was as if he had swallowed a blazing universe. In it, he felt the great essence of the primordial qi. It was like the primordial qi of the primordial universe. It began to flow in Su Yan's body. Oh my God, what is this? Su Yan stammered. What did he eat? What did Dao Shi give him? He felt that he had eaten a ginseng fruit and swallowed a great all-embracing immortal pill. It was quite terrifying and ridiculous. His entire body shone as if a flourishing universe was opening. His body evolved into a universe. What was this? Was this the life, essence, evolution fluid? But Su Yan did not think this was it. At first, he felt that the effect was too terrifying. It was enough to help Su Yan to the peak of the true immortal realm. But then, Su Yan found that this unimaginable source, qi, turned into nourishing energy. It nourished Su Yan's entire body, urging his body to emit eternal divine light. It was as if he was evolving into the domain of immortality. This nourishment was not an evolution, nor was it an increase in strength. It was nourishing the body in all aspects. It strengthened the essence and made up for the flaws. Of course, all of this was secondary. The most important thing was that when this mass of matter flowed in Su Yan's body, he saw the universe opening. All things were growing. Birds and beasts were being born. It was as if this thing was nurturing a new world in Su Yan's body. Then he caught a glimpse of terrifying Tao marks. One after another, they were like the Khanate Great Tao. They were arranged horizontally in Su Yan's body. He fell into it and could not extricate himself. Primordial Great Tao. Is this the primordial qi? Su Yan was secretly shocked. No wonder this thing in the beginning sutra had a resonance. The content of the primordial Great Tao was very similar to the beginning sutra. The primordial Great Tao was the most original Great Tao. It allowed Su Yan to comprehend it to his heart's content. The sound of the beginning sutra was also transmitted from his body. However, the beginning sutra continued to circulate in his body, one level after another. Gradually, Su Yan returned to silence. Like a banished immortal, he sat cross-legged on the Emperor's Road platform. Many people were stunned. Was the young Devil King not going to leave? Treasures appeared everywhere in the Golden Treasure Ground. Was he not going to fight for them? Because almost half a month had passed, some people were too lazy to pay attention to him. Some people tried to find the Xian people's first paragon in the Golden Treasure Ground. However, he seemed to have disappeared. There was no trace of him. Su Yan was still immersed in his own world, completely forgetting himself. There was very little primordial qi. It nourished Su Yan's body until it was exceptionally strong. Even the injury to his primordial spirit did not hurt Su Yan in a short time. However, in the end, his primordial spirit had quite the problem. His flesh still had some clues. Quite a few cracks appeared on his still flesh, extending from his frontal bone. The scene was a bit unbearable to look at. Look, he's injured again. It's the same as before. His frontal bone is broken and cracks are spreading throughout his body. Did his primordial spirit suffer some kind of serious injury? The outside world was in heated discussion and caused a lot of commotion. The Xian people were once again convinced that the Xian people's first paragon had injured Yi Futian. Someone shouted, "He's not leaving the Emperor's Road battle platform. There must be a big problem with his body, and he wants to find a solution." 3 days later, Su Yan's injuries were even more serious. His body looked like it was riddled with holes, but he did not wake up. Don't even think about relying on the Emperor's road battle platform to protect him. Impossible. Many Xian people had forgotten the pain after their wounds healed. Someone said, "Pass down the order. Ask the elites of our tribe to come back from the Golden Treasure Ground and kill the young Devil King. The Emperor's road battle platform can't protect him for long. It'll only last for a few months at most." This was a storm. The forces of the underworld wanted to get rid of Yi Futian. This was the perfect opportunity to do so. The elites of the Xian people moved quickly. Once the order was given, the storm grew bigger and bigger. This time it was different. The underworld, Wondrous Heaven sect, and even the Sky Bamboo faction all jumped out to join in the fun. The Sky Bamboo faction hated Su Yin to the core and wanted to kill him. "My lord, the young Devil King is severely injured. He's struggling for his life." Wu Qili had also heard the news. She knew that the Tongtian young master would not spare the young Devil King. Yingji's expression changed slightly. She clenched her smooth and slender hands. She did not expect the young Devil King to be Su Yin. Su Yin, who had made a bet with her and even lost to her, was still alive. Suddenly, a pair of eyes stared at her. Yingji shuddered and quickly calmed herself down. "You guys go," the Tongtian young master said coldly. "A young Devil King who's struggling for his life is not worthy of me personally killing him." "Yes, my lord." The Tongtian young master had many followers. They were a group of powerful, true, immortal elites. He even took out the great solar sword and handed it to Wu Qili. "Thank you, young master." Wu Qili was pleasantly surprised. This was old man Tongtian's beloved treasure, the great solar sword. It was forged from a sun that had been nurtured in the universe for millions of years. Under the illumination of the great solar sword, a true immortal elite would definitely die. Brothers, I beg for monthly votes. There's more tonight. Chapter 1565. The young Demon King is dying. He's about to die on the Emperor Road's battle platform. A storm surged and surged, already reaching the Golden Treasury. Imperial Court's most powerful inheritor was about to run out of oil. This matter was extremely explosive. The young Demon King's fame was too great. He became famous after the battle on the Emperor Road's battle platform. He was sure to be in the top 100 of the Emperor ranking. He even had a chance to fight for the top 10. It would be a pity if he died like this. Go and kill the young Demon King. The Celestial Court's fate has come to an end. The news was getting worse. Experts from the Xian people, the underworld, the Wondrous Heaven sect, and many other forces came out of the Golden Treasure Ground. They had received orders from their families to get the treasures on the young Demon King as much as possible. For the next few days, a large-scale, bloody battle broke out in the land of the gold treasure. It was said that the Celestial Heaven's lineage wanted to rush back to help the young Devil King. But in the end, they were intercepted by the elite troops of the immortal race. However, this also proved that the young Demon King was about to die. He was calling for reinforcements. Kill. Don't give the young Demon King a chance to escape. Large batches of elite soldiers charged out of the gold treasure trove. The experts of the various clans were all carrying heavy weapons. It was obvious that they wanted to kill Su Yin. They had even begun to seal the large region that Su Yin was in. The entire region was filled with murderous intent. There were too many experts guarding the region to prevent the Celestial Court's reinforcements from coming in. They did not dare to underestimate the Celestial Court. 500 cavalrymen trampled the second largest region of the Xian people. The combat power of this group was quite shocking. On the Emperor Road's battle platform, a figure was covered in blood. His flesh shell was filled with cracks, and his bones were visible. Su Yin did not move at all, even with such serious injuries. Some people felt that he was most likely dead and was like a lamp that had run out of oil. It was just that his corpse was sitting cross-legged on the fighting stage. Otherwise, how could he explain his current condition? Haha, maybe we don't have to do anything. The young Demon King will die immediately. That's right. What's disappointing is that the Emperor Road battle platform is still protecting him. He's just a dead man. I guess he's still alive. However, The Emperor Road battle platform's protection won't last forever. The entire region was in an uproar. Too many experts gathered here, their faces cold and murderous. They stared at the battered body on the battle stage. First of all, it was already a big problem if he could survive with such serious injuries. Suyin was too quiet. His mortal body looked like it was riddled with holes, but in fact, they were only superficial wounds. They couldn't shake the foundation of Su Yan's life. After being nourished and strengthened by the primordial mother liquid, his body was quite tough, like a wild giant dragon. His body was faintly discernible, filled with a terrifying aura that was hard for outsiders to detect. As the terrifying aura intensified, it became denser and denser, and soon it became a grand and peerless source of power. This was a rather grand aura, as if the ancient cosmos had been nurtured within the primal chaos. It was exceptionally spectacular. This was the world within Su Yan's body. Auspicious multicolored light blossomed, revealing the aura of opening the heavens. Moreover, it was accompanied by a dense primitive atmosphere. All things in the beginning recreate the universe. The deafening sound of the immortal Tao was released from Su Yan's body. The primitive atmosphere spread out as a scripture began to be recited. Every syllable was ear-splitting, as if it was tracing back to the source of the great Tao, as if it was tracing back to the most ancient and primitive great Tao. Boom! The universe was first opened, and the astronomical phenomena reversed. The world within Su Yan's body was somewhat indistinct and mysterious. It was like a grand primal chaos universe was revolving, giving birth to all sorts of inconceivable scenes. There were flowers, birds, fish, insects, suns, moons, and stars. They were all faintly discernible within the primal chaos. It was as if all things in the world were being nurtured. The scene was grand and boundless. This was the manifestation of the Tao and laws, as well as the manifestation of the universe within Su Yan's body. When all of this began to converge with his mortal body, the world within his body became ancient and mysterious. It became unfathomable and difficult to understand. It was also from this moment onwards that terrifying immortal Tao laws bloomed. Together with the order of the primordial scripture, a chapter of order was formed. Su Yan felt as if he had changed. His body was like a universe, his Tao laws towering into the heavens. With a raise of his hand, he could create all things in the world. If this were before, Su Yan would have been at the true immortal realm, and his strength would have been limitless. But now he had the mentality of looking down on all life in the world. He was like a small overlord that stood between the heavens and earth. This is a true immortal. This is the immortal Tao realm. Haha, Tao Shui, thank you, Su Yan said in his heart. He felt that this was a truly powerful, true immortal powerhouse. He understood the laws of a true immortal and was able to evolve the order of the scriptures. At every turn, he could erupt with a terrifying combat strength. This was the same as a qualitative transformation. Su Yan's mood surged. The primordial source energy had helped him far too much. He really had to thank Dao Shui for allowing him to step into an extremely high domain. Moreover, this domain was very difficult to achieve through hard work. Even if he could really comprehend it, it would take a long time. It might take decades or even centuries. In the future, I will reach the peak of the true immortal realm very quickly. As long as I have enough resources, this stage will not be difficult for me. Su Yan's still body smiled. The road to becoming a powerhouse had already begun, hadn't it? What's wrong with him? How can he smile when he's so severely injured? At this time, on the Emperor Road's battle platform, many powerhouses had gathered. The lineup was shocking. Some of them stared at the smile on Su Yan's face and said angrily, "Why don't you open your eyes and see what's waiting for him? Even if he's the young demon king at his peak, he won't be able to escape this calamity. He must have thought about life and death. That's why he's smiling." A powerhouse from the underworld faction laughed out loud. "This is a piece of trash that can't even break through to the immortal Tao realm. How pitiful." Ha ha! Everyone burst into laughter. That was right. From what they knew, Su Yin had encountered some major problems when he broke through to the immortal Dao realm. Although the Xian people thought that he was injured by the first honorable of their race, many people did not agree. Even if the young demon king was not crowded, it was impossible for him to be so severely injured after a short confrontation with the first honorable. Look, suddenly, under everyone's joyful gaze, the Emperor Road's battle platform became blurry and was about to return to nothingness. The powerful rules and order that shrouded the Emperor Road's battle platform slowly dissipated. In the end, they saw clearly a tall figure covered in blood sitting cross-legged on the Emperor Road's battle platform. He had not awakened yet. The atmosphere between heaven and earth instantly became extremely cold. Terrifying killing intent bloomed. The auras of the powerhouses were awakening, and for a moment, their voices shook the clouds. It was as if the horn of war had been blown. Large groups of cultivators rushed toward the Emperor Road's battle platform. The rules and order had already collapsed. If they did not act now, when would they? In a short time, more than 100 powerhouses rushed up. Along the way, more than a dozen true immortal powerhouses moved very quickly. They were infinitely close to the Emperor Road's battle platform. Kill! This group of people roared. Their speed was frightening. They wanted to be the first to rush over and obtain the great treasures on Su Yan's body. Is he going to die just like that? The outside world was in an uproar. Some of the grand heavenly realm powerhouses were dumbfounded. The fierce young devil king had created many miracles and legends. Was he going to die just like that? Was he going to die? They did not know what to say. Su Yan was already severely injured. Now that a great crisis had struck, more than a dozen powerhouses rushed forward to kill him. Some of them took out their killing weapons, some waved their fists, and some unleashed their great supernatural powers. In short, the Emperor Road's battle platform that continued to blur was drowned by the killing lights. Everything became a little blurry. Even Su Yan's figure dimmed. Soon, he disappeared from everyone's sight. Boom! Following that, an earth-shattering explosion erupted. No one knew what happened. Only the first group of powerhouses who rushed into the Emperor Road's battle platform were shocked. There were at least 10 true immortal assassins who wanted to destroy Su Yan's flesh shell first. However, the outcome shocked them. The 10 true immortals attacked with all their might, but they were met with a terrifying resistance. Su Yan's body was riddled with holes. However, layers of order light appeared and blocked the power of the 10 true immortals. Kill him quick! Someone roared out, his heart becoming half cold. Just how profound was this Dao method? It automatically defended itself, forcibly blocking the power of 10 great true immortals. Just what level of immortal path did he cultivate? Trash, get out of the way. Watch how I cripple him. The powerhouse from the underworld faction sneered. This was a young, true immortal wielding a battle spear. The moment the peak true immortal weapon was resurrected, it was shockingly thick. It tore through the void like a bolt of black lightning. It was accompanied by a bone-piercing stench of blood. No one knew how much blood this battle spear had drunk. It pierced forward and broke through Su Yan's protective order laws. Ha ha! The powerhouse from the underworld faction was overjoyed. The battle spear flew through the air and pierced towards Su Yan's heart. He wanted to smash his body into pieces. Boom! The battle spear really pierced through Su Yan's chest. Blood flowed. It was a tragic sight. The heroes were excited and overjoyed. The end of the young Devil King had arrived. However, when the powerhouse from the underworld faction was about to pierce Su Yan's chest with the battle spear, his expression changed slightly. He found that it was difficult to continue. His sternum was blocked. This body, he was a little frightened. How could it be so shocking? Even a powerful, true, immortal weapon couldn't destroy it. Suddenly, the group of powerhouses who were pouncing towards Su Yan changed their expressions. Because Su Yan's eyes opened. They were like an eternal abyss that wanted to devour people's souls. They were terrified. Under Su Yan's gaze, their eyes began to turn black. The chi and blood in their bodies trembled, and they all began to cough up blood. The powerhouse from the underworld faction who was holding the battle spear was frightened. He found that Su Yan was unharmed. When he awakened, his entire body was 10,000 times more terrifying. His chi and blood were like the sea, and his vitality was limitless. Accompanied by a great divine might, all the powerhouses on the stage began to tremble. What kind of aura was this? It was too shocking. Was this really the young Devil King who was at the end of his life? Run! Someone shouted, warning everyone. They felt that the young Devil King was unharmed. If he stood in his peak state, he could look down on the world. However, it was too late. Su Yin was like a ferocious dragon in human form. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. The battle spear that was about to pierce his chest, but was blocked by his sternum, exploded. His dormant body functions were awakened. He was like an ancient monster. His chi and blood were golden. It was terrifying beyond compare. Puffed. The bodies of the powerhouses were shattered. They couldn't match the radiance that Su Yin spat out. It was too bright and dazzling. The blurry Emperor Road battle platform trembled violently. It was a shocking scene. On the suspended Emperor Road battle platform, gods and devils were nursing grievances. Corpses fell down one after another. No one knew what was happening. The radiance from above was too bright. It covered the matter within, but groups of corpses fell down. Su Yin stood up. His black hair draped over his shoulders, and his eyes were like lightning. A powerful aura spread out. His entire body shone with boundless radiance and murderous intent. Today, he was going to fight all the heroes. Chapter 1566. Su Yan's aura was too shocking. His vast divine might bloomed and filled the entire Emperor Road battle platform. Are you all here to kill me? Su Yan laughed. His words were like a huge bell, shaking the bodies of the group of experts. Their blood was boiling. They were shocked and felt like their bodies were about to explode. He's fine. He's standing at his peak. The experts from the underworld were shocked. How strong was this person's cultivation? Just a shout was unbearable for them. The reason why Su Yin allowed the experts from the underworld to stab his body with their battle spears was to test the strength of his body and the universe in his body. Indeed, immortal weapons could not threaten him. Su Yin was strong enough just by relying on his physical strength alone. Su Yan's eyes were blazing. They were even more resplendent than the burning sun. This was the blossoming of a shocking, killing intent. All the breathing cultivators screamed and were sent flying. This was an invincible, true immortal. He was not at the end of his life, as the legends said. He was still standing at his peak. Some people wanted to curse. Su Yin was fine. He must be pretending. He must be pretending to attract the enemies, to hunt him down. What happened? Why are so many people dead? The whole place was in an uproar. The sealed region emitted a bloody light that dyed the starry sky red. It was a shocking scene. A large number of corpses fell from the suspended Emperor Road battle platform. The enemies who were charging towards the Emperor Road array platform were frightened and quickly retreated. On the Emperor Road battle platform, the void exploded. A tall figure covered in blood walked down step by step. Heaven and earth pulsed with it. This was the sound of Tao, the sound of immortal Tao, the order of scriptures, and the laws of immortal Tao. This was terrifying. The deeper one's cultivation, the more they could feel how terrifying Su Yin was. He was like a supreme god looking down on all life. The immortal Tao was too magnificent. It was difficult to describe how majestic it was. Su Yin stood between heaven and earth. His black hair was loose, and his cold eyes were emitting a cold, killing intent. He was looking down on all life in the universe. Everyone was terrified. The killing intent was bone-piercing. It was as if they saw an invincible god of war descending to the mortal world. With a thought, he could kill millions of lives. Young Devil King. Many people were horrified, their scalps tingling. They felt that the young Devil King at this moment was dozens of times more terrifying than before. He was now a true immortal, not a false immortal. Moreover, he was a peak true immortal at the third heaven. Su Yin came. He was in perfect condition, standing in front of the people of this world, looking down on them. The entire region that was filled with the sounds of battle suddenly fell silent to the extreme. One could even hear a pin drop. Everyone's hair stood on end as their hearts were filled with fear. Many people were also suppressed by the world-shocking aura that continued to ripple within his body, to the point that their souls were about to be crushed. Let's go. The hundreds of cultivators who were rushing toward the Emperor Road battle platform were filled with fear. But how could Su Yin allow them to escape unscathed? His tall body that was covered in blood suddenly revived like a bolt of lightning. Boom! In an instant, heaven and earth trembled violently, and the galaxy was vast and mighty. The majestic waves emanating from Su Yan's body suppressed the entire world. This was Su Yan's Tao and skills blooming. The universe in his body rotated, containing the universe's great stars, flowers, birds, fishes, and insects. It seemed to encompass all things in the world. The instant it rotated, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked, obliterating all matter. No, a large group of cultivators trembled in fear. This was the release of an unrivaled aura. Su Yan's immortal path was too special. When his Tao and skills appeared, it was as if the majestic heavens of the universe were bearing down, causing the vast world to shine with a golden brilliance. Kill! Su Yin roared as he pushed his immortal path down from the sky, suppressing everything. What's that? Is that the immortal path? But why is his immortal path so special? It's simply a natural ability. Isn't it too huge? At the same time, the outside world was in an uproar. The important figures of various races were having heated discussions. They were not shocked because the young Devil King was unharmed, but because this immortal path looked too special. It did not seem like a path, but more like the heavens of the universe. Who could stand against it when it came down like this? Even the true immortals died tragically. The immortal path they activated was crushed alive, and even their bodies were destroyed. Even if someone activated an immortal path weapon, it was difficult for them to resist the suppression of the immortal path. The powerful divine weapons all exploded. The Beginning Sutra. He's definitely cultivating the Beginning Sutra. Some of the old antiques of the Xian people saw through it, and their faces darkened. Even during the prosperous era of the Celestial Court, very few people could cultivate this sutra, let alone someone at Su Yan's level. The majestic immortal path was filled with chaos. All kinds of strange phenomena appeared internally. It was as if a golden age of the immortal path was opening up. Once it came down, it was as if the heavens were falling, sweeping across the entire place. Boom! Large groups of cultivators exploded and disintegrated. They could not withstand Su Yan's suppression at all. His blood-stained majesty was intimidating. He was like a bolt of lightning that tore through the heavens. He pushed forward, killing one person with each step. A blood-colored storm appeared, and the world was dark red. It was as if the end of the universe had shrouded the world. Many cultivators who tried to resist and escape were terrified. They were imprisoned and could not shake off the immortal path leaking out of Su Yan's body. The power of this Tao was beyond their understanding. What kind of immortal path is this? It's difficult to gather the power of heaven and earth. It's being suppressed by his immortal path, the expert of the Mystic Heaven sect shouted. He tried to gather the power of heaven and earth to block off the abnormal suppression of Su Yan's immortal path, but it was useless. No matter how strong his attainments in the mystic arts were, he was an invincible king in the envelopment of Su Yan's immortal path. How can this be? The young Devil King is unharmed, and his immortal path is countless times more majestic than mine. In the vast region, the experts of various races gathered. Now that Su Yin was on a killing spree, no one dared to stop him. His ferocious power was still too strong. He was definitely standing in his peak state and attacking everyone. Cough, cough. Suddenly, the energetic Su Yin coughed up blood. His body staggered, and his fighting strength was somewhat unstable. He can't hold on any longer. Kill him quickly. A group of people who were being suppressed shouted excitedly. The suppression of the immortal path was greatly reduced, and they used all kinds of methods to deal with him. Immediately, Su Yan's body was trembling from their attacks. Blood flowed out of his mouth and nose, and he staggered and almost fell to the ground. More cracks appeared on his body, Kill. In an instant, the entire region went berserk. Hundreds and thousands of experts could not hold back and rushed over to kill. The scene was quite shocking and shocking. Group after group of great experts rushed over, completely crazy. Suyin could not hold on any longer. His aura was weak, and this was the sign of a lamp that had run out of oil. Even all kinds of great killing weapons were used at once. Soul-destroying needles, body-breaking weapons, devil-slaying sabers. There were dozens of types of killing weapons. They wanted to kill Su Yin, not giving him any chance to breathe. They swept toward Su Yin. I don't believe he can hold on. Some Xian people growled. Even if the young Devil King was at his peak, he would not be able to hold on against such a lineup. The experts of several immortal sects had gathered, and there were also great killing weapons pressing forward. Who could withstand such a suppression? Even a peak true immortal would turn green in the face. Su Yan's expression changed. Facing such a powerful lineup, was it too much for him to pretend to be seriously injured? Once he faced a fatal attack head-on, he would be suppressed to the point where he could not get up. He would probably be beaten to death. Of course, Su Yin had nothing to fear. You've come at the right time. I'll kill all of you. Su Yin was cold and domineering. He took the initiative to charge forward. His aura swallowed the starry sky, wild and domineering. His entire body glowed, and the magnificent immortal path filled the sky. Amidst it, the Calamity Path secret art was released, and the sword body art was activated. The primordial force spread out. In an instant, the world trembled violently. Sand and stones flew everywhere, and ghosts cried and gods howled. Su Yin seemed to have turned into a chaotic star. He charged forward, his entire body releasing the strongest killing power, forcibly opening a path. The moment the silver dragon sword on his back was unsheathed, the sky was torn apart. Chi, a terrifying sword light, resplendent and overflowing, slashed down, filling the sky with stars. It was incomparably terrifying. Kill! Su Yin roared, fighting against the experts. The immortal path coiled above his head, turning into an eternal and indestructible paradise universe, blocking the invasion of the killing power. At the same time, the silver dragon sword danced, and the sword body technique bloomed. Sword chi filled the sky, whistling and whistling, vast and boundless. The scene was a little unbelievable. This is a great killing weapon, forged from a sword embryo stone. A large number of cultivators trembled. The powerful killing weapons were split apart, and the terrifying sword edge slashed over. It was impossible to resist, and it was impossible to resist. However, it was too late to retreat. Large numbers of cultivators were crushed. The sword chi was too fierce and sharp. Kill! Su Yin roared continuously. His battle strength became more and more tyrannical, and the silver dragon sword also became more and more blazing. In the end, the sword light exploded, illuminating the entire region. A silver dragon coiled out, sprinkling down billions of sword lights. The supreme killing weapon had been awakened, and it was brutal to the extreme. The great killing weapons that were aimed at him collapsed, and the sword light that reached the heavens slashed at the crowd one after another, cutting open the flesh shells of the experts one after another. Good. In the sword sect, a sloppy Taoist was suddenly in high spirits. His eyes shone brightly, and he said excitedly, "The silver dragon sword has 3 forms, and now it's only the first form. I want to see if the young Devil King can use the 3 forms of the silver dragon sword. This is a sword that reaps human lives." Awesome, really awesome. He took out the yellow-skinned gourd on his back and stared at Su Yin, who was slaughtering everyone with the silver dragon sword. He drank a big mouthful of strong wine and laughed loudly, causing the group of old men in the sword sect to be bewildered. What was wrong with him? Boom! Su Yin fought the crowd of experts, and his battle strength became more and more shocking. He killed until corpses were everywhere, piling up into mountains. The various races were amazed. A ruthless person was indeed a ruthless person. He set up a trap with his own body and killed the experts of various orthodoxies. No one expected Su Yin to be so patient, holding back until now before erupting. At the same time, he had killed too many enemies. The ground was covered in blood and shattered bones. He killed until the heaven and earth were soaked in blood, and the sun and moon lost their light. In the end, Su Yan's body was still staggering, and blood was flowing out of his mouth and nose. What he meant was, "I can't take it anymore. Quickly come and kill me." Bastard. Many people almost went crazy. How could he cheat others like this? It had happened twice in a row. Boom! All of a sudden, an extremely resplendent radiance blossomed. A great cosmic sun hung in the sky, emitting a blazing radiance that illuminated the blood-colored rivers and mountains. Even the blood drifting in the air was evaporated. This was a treasure mirror shining, shooting out rays of golden divine radiance that shone on Su Yan. Su Yan was shocked. This treasure was extremely powerful. Under the illumination of the radiance, a terrifying sealing power had already suppressed Su Yan's body. Even his essence spirit was trembling slightly. Ha ha ha! Wu Qili was peerlessly beautiful. She walked out and pointed at Su Yan. "Young Demon King, you can't escape this calamity. I don't care how strong you are. Let's see how you struggle after being suppressed by a great solar realm." 3 moles. Su Yan was shocked. He didn't expect her to come. "You." Wu Qili was like a tiger whose tail had been stepped on. She was so angry that her body trembled. At the same time, she growled, "Death is at hand, and you dare to anger me?" At the same time, one immortal Dao realm expert after another with vast dermic powers arrived. Someone glared at Su Yan and said, "Young Demon King, young Master Tontian wants you dead. You won't be able to live." "You think you can kill me?" Su Yan said coldly. "Haha, young Master Tontian wants you dead. You won't be able to live." Their words were very cold. Su Yan had already been imprisoned by a great solar realm expert. He definitely couldn't escape. No matter how powerful his dermic powers were, he couldn't escape the suppression of a great solar realm expert. Chapter 1567. 3 6th Heaven Perfected Immortals and 2 7th Heaven Perfected Immortals. A few people were alarmed, never expecting 5 great true immortal realm experts to come, to the extent where there were even 2 7th heavenly layer true immortals. This lineup was already shocking enough. Just the auras they leaked out were exceptionally strong and flourishing. Moreover, these 5 experts were relatively young and had powerful backgrounds. They were all disciples of powerful clans or large sections. They followed the Tongtian young master and were willing to be his servants. In the past, there had been many servants of experts who would become overlords in the future. This was nothing new. With the Tongtian young master's strength, would it be difficult for him to rise in the future? The experts under the Tongtian young master are here. They're great solar realm cultivators. In the blood-stained region, storms constantly raged. No one expected the sky-bound young master to interfere. He had even brought a powerful weapon with him. Although he hadn't come in person, this great solar realm expert wasn't simple. It was a rare supreme treasure refined from a sun that had been nurtured in the universe for millions of years. The mirror was dazzling, and the divine light of the sun scattered down, forming divine chains of order. It could be said to be sealing the sky and the earth as it pressed down on Su Yan's head. Haha, fellow Taoists, you've come at the right time. Let's work together to suppress this demon. The experts of the Xian people were pleasantly surprised. They thought that Su Yan was a lamp that had run out of oil, so they did not send any young supremes to hold the line. The current situation was very unfavorable for them. Now, the Tongtian young master's faction had arrived and brought a supreme killing treasure, which surprised them. There's no need. This kid offended the Tongtian young master and is a dead man. There's no need for your faction leader. We have our own methods to suppress him. The 5 perfected immortals had arrogant expressions. Although the young demon king was powerful, how could a great solar realm be an ordinary supreme treasure? Moreover, from the looks of it, Su Yan was definitely injured. They did not believe that Su Yan could maintain his current combat strength for a long time. How dare a bunch of slaves speak so arrogantly? Su Yan's eyes were ice cold as he shouted, "Who does that brat Tong Tian think he is? My life is not something that he can take away. You guys are really arrogant. A group of slaves dares to come and suppress me. How dare you?" Wu Qili flew into a rage and pointed at Su Yan. "You dare to humiliate young Master Tong Tian? Have you eaten the guts of a great emperor? A few months ago, young Master was standing right here. Why didn't you dare to fight? Who do you think you are to spout nonsense now? What bullshit screech, young Master? Who gave him that title?" Su Yan shouted angrily. "I think it's more appropriate to call him Child Tong Tian. Just you few pieces of trash also want to vainly kill me? Do you really think I'm a pushover?" Everyone in the surroundings was stunned. That was just too awesome. If word got out, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. Of course, no one knew who gave him the title of Young Master Tong Tian. In any case, his master, Old Man Tong Tian, was one of the most powerful figures in the immortal heavenly domain. Who wouldn't give him face? But Su Yan directly scolded him. If this spread out, it would cause a huge storm. Preposterous. The 5 true immortals were enraged, and their eyes were filled with murderous intent. They roared, "How dare you? Suppress him and bring him to Tong Tian, young master. Make him kneel and die." Suppress. Wu Qili, who was in charge of the great solar realm, soared into the sky. One had to admit that she was extremely beautiful. Her palm-sized snow-white cheeks, bright red cherry lips, and misty eyes were very moving. She was truly a peerless beauty. At this moment, Wu Qili's face was as cold as ice. The moment her hands formed a seal, the great solar realm's blazing light filled the sky. Instantly, it sprinkled down like an ocean of light of order, accompanied by surging golden sun fire. Boom! In an instant, the world was burned full of holes. The power of the mirror was extraordinary. Accompanied by a terrifying sealing power, it rushed toward Su Yan. Kill! At the same time, the 5 true immortals joined forces to attack. Among them, there were 3 level 6 true immortals and 2 level 7 true immortals. Once they attacked together, it was equivalent to the appearance of a peak true immortal expert. Don't listen to them. Kill him. That's right. This is an excellent opportunity to kill the young Devil King. Although the Grandmaster Heaven Junior Master is terrifying, why should we be afraid of him? In a short period of time, the entire area was in an uproar. Too many people attacked, including the 5 true immortals, and charged towards Su Yan. What a terrifying lineup, some people trembled. The entire region trembled. In order to kill the young Devil King, the major factions were really going all out. Almost everyone had charged out. Who could match such a lineup? How could the young Devil King stop them all by himself? Kill! Battle cries filled the sky. It was even more shocking than what the people had expected. A large number of experts rushed into the group and joined forces to kill the young Devil King. In the direction of the source, the great solar realm was still imprisoning Su Yan. Moreover, the killing intent from the mirror had already drowned him. Boom! Su Yan's body burned as his immortal Dao path bloomed once again. He used his strongest power to shatter the sunfire and attack the great solar realm with astonishing power, wanting to overturn the treasure. It's useless. You can't overturn a great solar realm. Wu Qili said coldly, "Young Devil King, today is the day you die. You won't live." Su Yan's hair fluttered in the wind. He stood under the great solar realm and looked coldly at the experts charging at him from all directions. The great danger infuriated Su Yan. He said angrily, "Today, I'm going to start a massacre. I'll make you remember this day forever." Boom! Su Yan swung his fist, and his entire body resonated. This punch was boundless, and the chaotic universe was faintly discernible. It hammered the great solar realm until it became unstable and trembled. Wu Qili's beautiful face turned pale. This was a great solar realm expert, but he was actually shaken by Su Yan's punch. How strong was his body? After losing the suppression of the great solar realm, Su Yan's aura was terrifying. It shook the vast region, and he drew the silver dragon sword on his back. Kill! Su Yin let out a long roar as his sword slashed through the heavens. At the same time, his anger stimulated the silver dragon sword, causing it to let out dragon roars one after another. Roar. The sword embryo instantly changed. A 100,000-foot-long silver dragon drilled out. The moment it danced, the killing light that filled the sky exploded, and large swaths of killing weapons were shattered. Puffed, puffed. A peerless sharpness bloomed. The expressions of the incoming soldiers froze. Then, their bodies ruptured and turned into minced meat. All of a sudden, a rich smell of blood bloomed, dyeing half the sky red. Su Yin was a little stunned. Is this the silver dragon sword? True immortal realm erupted with this sword core. It changed, turning into a silver sword dragon, able to destroy heaven and earth, sharp to the extreme, tearing through all blockades. It was like cutting through tofu, destroying the divine weapons that covered the sky. No, even a sixth firmament perfected immortal was terrified. What kind of sword embryo was this? Wasn't it too sharp? His entire arm was cut off. On the way to escape, he found that silver sword light was rolling where his arm was cut off. It pierced through his entire body, and then his body exploded. The second transformation. This silver dragon sword has exceeded my expectations. The sharpness of the sword light. There's a sword bone in it. Su Yin was surprised and delighted. This killing weapon was too shocking. He looked up to the sky and laughed. It was like adding wings to a tiger. A silver dragon accompanied Su Yin as it moved. Roar! The thick silver dragon was peerlessly sharp. It scattered down billions of sword light and swept forward. No one could match it. Sword dragon, what have you done? The upper echelons of the sword sect trembled. It was chaos. The sect master of the sword sect was shocked. His eyes widened as he cursed at a drunken sloppy Taoist who was hugging a yellow-skinned gourd. At this moment, everyone who was paying attention to the young Devil King was shocked. What kind of killing weapon was this? It was powerful beyond compare. As soon as it left the body, silver light overflowed into the sky and tore apart the killing light that filled the sky. Wherever the sword passed, heaven fell and earth cracked. Ghosts cried and gods howled. Too many people died and exploded into bloody light. Roaming dragon, silver sky sword. Su Yin vaguely heard the silver dragon sword spitting out ancient syllables. This sword embryo's second form was the roaming dragon silver sky sword. Even the world-shocking killing arts within were like a dancing sword dragon, automatically leaking out of the sword's edge. There's a sword bone in it. There's definitely a sword bone. The group of old men from the sword sect were frantic. They had suffered a great loss from the deal with the young Devil King. Sword dragon, I need an explanation. The sect master of the sword sect had an ugly expression. Sword dragon was the disciple of the sword sect's founding ancestor. Although he hadn't become a perfected golden immortal, he was a great grandmaster in the field of sword Tao. His status in the sword sect was very high. What's all this noise about? The sloppy Taoist, who was addicted to alcohol, cursed, "Damn it, I've been forging this silver dragon sword for several universe eras, and I don't see anyone in the sword sect who has mastered it. Fan Jian clearly has the potential to master it. Why didn't you give it to him?" The group of old men from the sword sect were furious. Hearing this, the sloppy Taoist said angrily, "Bullsh asterisk T. Fan Jian's hegemon sword imitation was forged by me with great difficulty. There's also a sword bone inside. Moreover, he obtained the inheritance of the hegemon sword scripture. The silver dragon sword isn't suitable for him at all. It's suitable for the killing sword Tao. But why didn't you say so at that time?" The old men from the Xian people's faces were ugly. They were livid and wanted to kill someone. Sword bones were too important. There were very few of them in the entire sword sect. The artifacts used to forge them were quite shocking. However, there was definitely more than one sword bone used in the silver dragon sword. The 300,000-meter-long silver dragon sword danced, automatically leaking the sword edge. It was unrivaled as it tore apart the secret treasures that were suppressing Su Yin. "You're still in contact with the Celestial Court?" The sect master of the sword sect frowned. "Kill!" Su Yin roared. It was a shocking scene. He waved the 300,000-meter-long silver dragon sword and charged forward. His courage was unparalleled. He was like an overlord who opened the sky. His fluttering black hair tore the void. His entire body was filled with a murderous aura. The aura emitted by the silver dragon sword became more and more shocking and incredible. It burst out, and the sword light that was as terrifying as the sea drowned the entire space. "Run! This demon king has gone crazy. Run!" A large group of cultivators fled. They were so scared that they almost wet their pants. Too many people died. The sky was filled with minced flesh. This wasn't just killing the sword embryo. It was also killing the demonic weapon that devoured all living beings. The second form of the silver dragon sword, the swimming dragon sword, was faster than lightning. Everything happened too fast. Su Yin waved the sword vigorously. His mastery of the swimming dragon sword was getting more and more exquisite. "Awesome, awesome." Su Yin laughed. In fact, he even realized that there was a third form of the swimming dragon sword. In the end, he activated it. The silver dragon sword transformed into 9 murderous weapons and evolved into a sword Dao domain. Tens of thousands of swimming dragons were released and swam in the universe, sweeping through the enemies. Isn't that the sword sex swimming dragon sword art? Someone saw through it. This ultimate skill was one of the sword sex ultimate skills. It was famous for its speed. Sword sex Jian Jingshan cultivated the heaven's end of a swimming dragon. His sword was extremely fast, and only Fan Jian could suppress it with his domineering determination. "Slash!" Su Yin shouted. The 9 sword embryos shone like 9 sword dragons that were released. Their offensive power was unparalleled, and they cleaved through all blockades. Along with a large group of cultivators, their bodies exploded. In this world that was surging with blood, Su Yan's murderous aura shocked the sun and moon. He destroyed the entire place. Even the entire region was shaking. The ground collapsed and rocks rolled. Corpses were strewn everywhere. His essence, qi, and spirit were infinitely powerful and were close to Wu Qili. In front of him, Wu Qili was like a snow-white little lamb. She was shivering and her entire body was ice cold. How is this possible? Her beautiful legs were wobbling, and she felt suffocated. The 9 great killing swords evolved into a sword Dao domain. Under Su Yan's control, he could destroy millions of lives with a single thought. It's the last day of October. I've updated a lot this month. There are about 300,000 words of updates. I'll have more today. Chapter 1568. The heavens and earth were in ruins, filled with devastation. In the surging world of blood, the silver sword radiance flickered in and out of existence. It was too fast, traversing between heaven and earth with peerless sharpness, capable of shattering everything. No one would have thought that Su Yin would be able to control this great killing weapon. He would even be able to transform it into 3 different forms and finally combine them into the swimming dragon sword array. Under Su Yan's control, he had reached the pinnacle and evolved the killing sword domain. 10,000 silver dragons danced around the sword. The final form was inevitably a domain-type supreme treasure. It was too extreme and extremely suited for large-scale bloody battles. In short, it was suitable for group battles. The 9 silver sword embryos, resembling dragons and swords, revolve around Su Yin and formed a sword sea vortex. The defeated experts were terrified and didn't dare to approach the sword sea vortex. Everyone could foresee that once they were sucked in, they would definitely be reduced to minced meat. What a savage killing weapon. Did the young Devil King take this from the sword sect? This killing sword contains the roaming dragon sword art. I really don't understand. Apart from a sword sect, who else could forge such a heavy killing weapon? Without a doubt, this was a murderous weapon. After drinking the blood of experts, the silver sword embryos glowed with blood as if they were about to transform into weapons of the earth. Su Yin felt that this sword embryo was tailor-made for this purpose. In its third form, it could reap the lives of enemies to its heart's content. There was no longer a need to fear the situation of 1 against 100. 9 sore bones, 9 sore bones. The group of old men from the sword sect stomped their feet in anger. They wanted nothing more than to strangle Sword Dragon to death. However, they only dared to think about this old ancestor. Sword Dragon was the disciple of the sword sect's founding ancestor and was also the only grandmaster under his tutelage. There were many great killing weapons in the sword sect that were all modified by Sword Dragon. Even Fan Jian's imitation of the Sky Hegemon sword was forged by Sword Dragon after thousands of years. This brat is a bit scary. Sword Dragon, who looked particularly sloppy, was hugging a yellow-skinned gourd and drunk. At this moment, when he saw the third form of the Silver Dragon sword, he suddenly stood up and stared with wide eyes. He exclaimed, "He can actually control the roaming dragon Silver Sky sword in such a short time, and even use it to this level. This is a genius." Sword Dragon, is this the main point? The sword sect leader was so angry that his face turned red. 9 great sword bones, innate sword embryo stone, silver dragon sword art, and 3 domains. This weapon could be considered one of the strongest weapons that he, Sword Dragon, had ever forged. What's with the noise? Sword Dragon roared. "I'm about to die, but the Silver Dragon sword still doesn't have a master. I want to see the strongest form of the Silver Dragon sword with my own eyes. It was forged by me, an invincible weapon in the true immortal realm. Jian Jingshan cultivates the roaming dragon sword art. Why don't you give it to him?" The sword sect's leader angrily rebuked. "I know that you have a good relationship with the Celestial Court, but how much time has passed?" Jian Jingshan. His roaming dragon sword art has indeed been cultivated to perfection, but this kid isn't proficient in the sword array Dao. It's too much of a waste to give the silver dragon sword to him. I'm afraid that even when I'm buried, I won't be able to see the 3 strongest forms of the silver dragon sword. This is a masterpiece that I spent half my life researching. Sword Dragon took a big gulp of wine. Back then, when he forged this killing weapon, whether it was the materials chosen or the sword array inscribed inside, they were all top-notch. There was hope that it could evolve into a supreme weapon in the future. Similarly, forging this sword embryo required a strong enough mentality to control it. In short, once it was in its peak state, it could definitely be called an invincible weapon in the true immortal realm. Then, Sword Dragon dug his ears and scolded. "Why did you mention the Celestial Court for no reason? Don't fall out with me. What's a silver dragon sword to me? If you keep shouting, I won't modify the dark sword embryo for you." Sigh. The sword sect's leader sighed. At this point, there was nothing he could do. He was also a disciple of the sword sect's founder. Back then, when the sword sect's founder rose from the Emperor Road, he was so majestic and elegant. On the day he founded the sword sect, many experts from the Celestial Court came to congratulate him. Speaking of Sword Dragon, he really had a lot to do with the Celestial Court. This was because he was recommended to the sword sect's founder by an expert from the Celestial Court. This was quite a long time ago. Sword Dragon had a good relationship with the experts from the Celestial Court. Of course, it was not just Sword Dragon. Many of the old antiques had good relations with the Celestial Court in the past. 1,000,000 years ago, the calamity of the 9 Cauldrons continent was too sudden and too fast. It was so fast that the whole world fell silent. The Celestial Court's branch was destroyed. In a single night, the Colossus disintegrated with a loud bang. This was a great disaster that swept across the entire cultivation world. Even now, it was still a taboo topic. No one dared to talk about it openly. In short, the Celestial Court had been disintegrated. There were casualties and injuries. Only a few people were still alive today. The sloppy sword dragon gulped down hard liquor. Looking at his bald appearance, the sword sect's leader could not bear to see him like this. He knew very well that the Celestial Court was prosperous back in the day. There were many outstanding people and countless dazzling pearls. Back then, Sword Dragon also had a woman he loved. She was in the Celestial Court. Sword Dragon was the disciple of the sword sect's founder. It was not difficult for him to marry the pearl of the Celestial Court. It could even be said to be a happy occasion. However, in a single night, the Celestial Court's destruction caused a great commotion. It intimidated all the clans in the world. No one dared to say a word. Even the sword sect's founder could only stare helplessly and forcefully suppress Sword Dragon, not allowing him to go out. From then on, Sword Dragon's willpower was depressed. It was very difficult for him to progress on the path of cultivation. The incident back then had a great impact on him. It was very difficult for him to walk out even now. However, he was not the only one like Sword Dragon back then. However, the disintegration of the Celestial Court was a huge alarm. It still rang in the ancestral halls of the various immortal sections. This was the lingering influence. In the ancestral hall of the Sword Sect, a pair of faintly discernible eyes noticed all of this amidst the chaos. He thought of some old friends. He thought of a dreamy woman with peerless beauty. His thoughts flew. Then he said in his heart, I didn't expect that after so many years, it could still stir up my emotions. At this moment, the Sword Sect's founder's eyes were looking at the underworld. Lord of the Underworld, what are you doing? During this period, he tried to investigate the Lord of the Underworld's movements. However, this person's place of hibernation was very dangerous. He did not dare to investigate rashly. He was worried that the Lord of the Underworld would notice. In short, the Sword Sect's founder realized that the Lord of the Underworld had been silent for a universe era. He was probably plotting something big. Bastard, what does this killing weapon have to do with the Sword Sect? Investigate it quickly. The experts of the Xian people were furious. They believed that such a stunning killing weapon had a close relationship with the Sword Sect. Could it be that the Sword Sect and the Celestial Court had a great relationship? In short, now, the great region was dyed in blood. Heroes had withered. The 9 great sword embryos revolved around Su Yin. They emitted peerless sharpness, tearing apart all enemies and blockades. The sky was filled with corpses and shattered bones. The heroes were scared out of their wits. They fled in large numbers. Today was a bloody lesson for the Immortal Tribe and the other factions. Young paragons were not to be trifled with. This was especially true for young paragons who wielded great killing weapons. They had terrifying destructive power, especially when they stood in the true immortal realm. Their dermic powers were monstrous. The current Su Yin, with the terrifying immortal path energy in his body, even a 7th heaven expert would tremble in fear. His dermic powers were comparable to an 8th heaven expert. To contend with a 7th heaven expert, this kind of person was too abnormal. It had to be said that this was the fortune of the strong. It gave Su Yin extraordinary combat power, saving him decades of time to accumulate. Su Yin was a 7th heavenly layer, true immortal. Without using the roaming dragon silver sky sword, Su Yin raised his fist and smashed forward. His fist of light flowed with majestic energy waves like a great star smashing down, carrying with it the majestic combat strength of the immortal path. The 2 7th heaven true immortals had been defeated. They were no match for Su Yin. The 2 experts' arms exploded. They exchanged a punch with Su Yin. They couldn't take it all. Their bodies trembled, and the bones in their bodies were shattering. Young Devil King, if you kill me, you won't have a good ending. We're all highly regarded by a young Master Tongten. The 2 7th heaven true immortals were terrified. Su Yin was already closing in. The 3rd form of the Silver Dragon Sword had sealed their escape route. That Tong Tian brat is nothing. Wait until I step into the golden treasure ground. I'll settle the score with him. His cold words exploded in the blood-stained space-time. Many people who were running away were shocked. Young Master Tong Tian did not even put him in his eyes. Did this guy think that he was invincible and wanted to compete with the strongest people on the monarch ranking? Nonsense. Wait until you face young Master Tong Tian. You'll know how terrifying he is. The 2 true immortals roared. Su Yin couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with them. He pulled out the silver dragon sword and shattered their bodies. The 2 7th heaven true immortals were killed just like that, causing a terrifying wave. The world once again witnessed the invincible combat power of a young supreme. He could still do whatever he wanted in the true immortal realm. Some people thought that Su Yin had improved. He might be able to compete with the immortal path dragon and peak true immortals. 3 moles. Do you think you can escape? At this moment, Su Yin strode forward, his cold eyes staring at the fleeing Wu Qili. His words were like a law. Rolling sound waves rushed out from Su Yan's mouth and nose. They bombarded forward like a terrifying torrent, striking towards Wu Qili. Great Solar Realm. Wu Qili roared and took out the Great Solar Realm to suppress Su Yin. The golden mirror in front of her burned fiercely, scattering down monstrous divine sunfire. Even the surface of the mirror projected monstrous space-time power. This mirror was extremely terrifying. Even someone as powerful as Su Yin was affected by the Great Solar Realm. It was as if he was trapped in a solar furnace and burned. You want to suppress me with this lousy mirror? Su Yin roared angrily. His body flowed with the light of the immortal Tao. The order of scriptures appeared and forcefully isolated the suppression of the Great Solar Realm. At the same time, Su Yan's eyes turned red. The Great Solar Realm was quite shocking. How could Wu Qili alone unleash the true potential of the Great Solar Realm? The Great Solar Realm was shaken by Su Yin. His hand also pressed forward. Wu Qili's legs went weak, and she fell to the ground. She said in horror, "Young master, save me, hum." Suddenly, the Great Solar Realm lit up, looking extremely holy and solemn. It was as if the nine-heaven sun was shining on Su Yin. Su Yin was surprised. He saw a figure walk out from the Great Solar Realm. Step by step, his aura was terrifying. Who dares to hurt my woman? Young Master Tong Tian had a majestic aura. He was like a war god patrolling the heavens, looking down on all living beings as if he was looking down on his subjects. He was rather arrogant. "Grandmaster Tong Tian, Grandpa is here," Su Yin shouted. "Come over and greet me." Chapter 1569. The entire region fell into an eerie silence. Many people were frightened by Su Yan's words, directly calling him Grandmaster Skirich. If this were to spread, the Grandmaster Skirich young master might explode in anger. This ruthless person is too arrogant. Isn't he afraid of being beaten to death by the Grandmaster Skirich young master? The young Demon King's strength is undeniable, but the Grandmaster Skirich young master has the Grandmaster Skirich immortal physique. I don't think the young Demon King can defeat the Grandmaster Skirich young master. He has inherited the Grandmaster Skirich's inheritance. His foundation is quite terrifying. What a joke! Someone frowned and retorted. The Celestial Court's foundation was at its peak. What was the Grandmaster Skirich? There was no one who could refute this statement. Yes, during the Celestial Court's heyday, the Grandmaster Skirich could only tuck his tail between his legs in front of the Celestial Court. Although the Celestial Court's lineage had disintegrated, its inheritance might still be preserved. "It's you." The Great Solar Realm's figure walked out. Although it was only a mark of the Grandmaster Skirich young master, it was still peerless and shocking. He looked down at Su Yin and said coldly, "Reckless thing, I'll kill you." Boom! The Grandmaster Skirich young master's mark awakened and rapidly enlarged. Soon, it turned into a giant that overflowed with immortal radiance. Boundless and terrifying energy fluctuations covered the entire space. Heavens, just a mark has such terrifying divine power. The Grandmaster Skirich young master is really shocking. It's said that once the Grandmaster Skirich immortal physique steps into the true immortal realm, his magic power will be overwhelming and boundless. It seems like the rumors are true. Heaven and earth trembled. Just a mark contained an unparalleled aura, causing the experts to exclaim in admiration. There was a certain reason why he was ranked third on the Emperor list. The Grandmaster Skirich young master, who had the strongest physique, might be the only supreme being who could look down on the world in the future. Although it was too early to talk about it, this person was really not to be underestimated. "You want to suppress me with just a mark?" Su Yin snorted coldly. He didn't do anything, and simply allowed young Lord Heavenspan's sealing mark to attack him. Under the horrified gazes of the people, the piercing heaven immortal physique storm that filled the sky continued to press down on the young Devil King. From beginning to end, the young Devil King remained unmoving like a mountain. He stood there with his majestic and awe-inspiring appearance. His black hair fluttered in the wind, as if he was an immortal king. Rumble. The energy storm that filled the sky stopped in front of Su Yan. No matter how terrifying the storm was, it couldn't touch Su Yan's body. It was all blocked by the order of the scripture. Kill. The Tongtian young lord was enraged. He unleashed the strongest power of his imprint and summoned a supreme, killing imprint to suppress Su Yan again. Scram! All of a sudden, Su Yan roared loudly. It was wild to the extreme, and the sound waves were like the sea with terrifying penetrative power. Young Master Heavenspan's sealing mark was powerful and shocking, but in the face of Su Yan's roar, it trembled violently and began to weaken. It was as if it were about to be shattered. Crazy. All the experts who saw this scene were horrified. This was too wild. The roar shook heaven and earth, and the Tongtian young lord's sealing mark trembled. Soon, a large crack appeared on it. However, in the next moment, Su Yan rose from the ground and raised his golden foot, surging with an invincible will. At this moment, he was peerlessly terrifying. His foot crossed the sky and stomped on the Tongtian young lord. This was a bold move. It was as if he was stepping on a supreme being. He wanted to firmly stomp on the Tongtian young lord. Everyone was speechless and didn't know what to say. At the same time, some people felt that the Tongtian young lord was the arrogant one. With just a sealing mark, he dared to attack the young Devil King. The young Devil King's savagery was known to the world. Now that his foot had crossed the sky, it was shocking. No matter how strong the Tongtian young lord's sealing mark was, it was trembling at this moment. Its knees were bent, and it was about to kneel down. Roar! The Tongtian young lord roared. His blurry incarnation burned and turned into a layer of divine light that surged into the great solar realm. Get out here! Su Yan roared angrily. He stomped on the great solar realm, wanting to force the Tongtian young lord's incarnation out. The other party was so arrogant that he had sent a maid to kill him with a precious treasure. This had already infuriated Su Yan. The great solar realm in front of him instantly blazed with flames. It was completely different. An ancient mirror flowed out, burning the heavens. The great solar realm spewed out a huge golden cauldron. It was formed from the interweaving of laws and orders. It suddenly descended, covering Su Yan and trapping him inside. This scene delighted Wu Qili. She laughed excitedly. Good. The young lord is indeed the young lord. He actually suppressed the young Devil King as a great solar realm cultivator. Let's see how arrogant you can be. However, the smile on Wu Qili's palm-sized face didn't last for a single breath. The entire cauldron trembled violently. No matter how shocking the laws and orders it displayed were, it was forcefully pushed apart by the grand and peerless aura emanating from Su Yan's body. Boom! The cauldron exploded just like that. He raised his fist and punched forward, striking the great solar realm. The mirror in front of him trembled violently, shaking under Su Yan's fist. It was rather ferocious and terrifying. The fist mark was rather grand and majestic, causing the great solar realm to wail. The imprint of the Tongtian young lord within it began to dim. At this moment, the great solar realm bloomed with divine radiance. In the mirror, it was like a condensed sun-star sea. A blurry figure appeared in it. It was like the supreme ruler of the world. Its divine might was immense, and it swept through the entire region. All living beings were alarmed and almost knelt on the ground in worship. This was the might of a supreme being. Could it be that a wisp of old man Tongtian's was hidden in the great solar realm? After all, the great solar realm was refined by old man Tongtian. It contained a small amount of his psyche power. It transformed into a luster of order and emitted waves of earth-shattering fluctuations that rushed towards Su Yan. Everything exploded, destroying everything along the way. Many mountains evaporated, and the void was melted into a huge black hole. A majestic space-time power surged out. The reason why Old Man Tongtian was feared by the various immortal sects was mainly because he had mastered the power of space-time to perfection. Coupled with the heavenly bridge, he was almost an invincible giant in the undying heavenly domain. Ah! Many onlookers screamed in horror, feeling as if their souls were about to evaporate. The dermic art evolved from a small amount of psyche power was too inconceivable. It even allowed the great solar realm's might to be at its strongest state, reflecting the universe's starry sky. Anyone who was reflected by it felt like they were about to die. Above the great solar realm, Su Yan's figure also appeared. He was shocked and moved. This treasure was truly not an ordinary item. It contained the terrifying Great Tao of space-time. Of course, it was difficult for the Great Solar Realm to completely reveal Su Yan's original appearance. However, his damaged essence spirit in his forehead was reflected by the Great Solar Realm. What? Look! The outside world was in an uproar. The experts who were paying close attention to this battle saw Su Yan's damaged essence spirit reflected by the Great Solar Realm. It could explode at any time. As we expected, the young Fiend King is severely injured. However, I didn't expect the injuries to his essence spirit to be so serious. His essence spirit is about to explode, but he still has such combat strength. I have to say that this is a miracle. However, how long can this miracle last? The scene of the Great Solar Realm alarmed the various races. Many experts thought highly of the young Fiend King, but now they could only sigh. With such serious injuries to his essence spirit, he didn't have much time left. Furthermore, Su Yan probably couldn't fight to the limit. If this continued, his essence spirit injuries would definitely threaten his physical body. Boom! The Great Solar Realm constantly released space-time power to affect Su Yan. Under its reflection, Su Yan felt pain and unbearable. It was as if he was imprisoned in space-time and was being crushed by a terrifying force. His body was about to explode. Kill! Su Yan roared angrily, his ferocious aura reaching 100,000 feet. In an instant, he erupted. His lifeblood was like a sea, and the laws of Scripture evolved, forcefully suppressing the space-time power of the Great Solar Realm. His entire body charged forward as he raised his fist, releasing the power of the universe fist. The massive fist mark landed one punch after another on the Great Solar Monarch. The mirror constantly trembled and wailed. Su Yan's strength was extremely wild. It was impossible for an ownerless object to suppress him. In the end, the Great Solar Realm trembled as the mental imprint inside was completely wiped out. What a young Fiend King. His essence spirit is about to rot, but he still has such combat strength. The entire world was in an uproar. His body shone with boundless light, illuminating the world. He was extremely powerful, as if he had transformed into the only ruler of the world. Without a doubt, Su Yan, who was at the perfected immortal realm, had defeated a group of enemies for the first time. His conviction was even stronger, as if he didn't care about the injuries to his essence spirit at all. He was extremely powerful. The young Fiend King captured Wu Qili alive. Is he crazy? Doesn't he know that the young master of the Skirich sect views the woman by his side as his exclusive property? His actions are equivalent to declaring war on the young master of the Skirich sect. The news was shocking. The young Fiend King, who was at the end of his life, had shocked the world with a single battle. The entire region was bleeding, and too many people had died. The 5 perfected immortals under the young master of the Skirich sect had been sacrificed. Of course, the most important thing was that Wu Qili had been captured alive. This was a huge matter. The golden treasury was in an uproar. Does the young Fiend King want to die? Go over and make him stay where he is. I'll personally kill him after I suppress the holy maiden of the sovereign sect. The young master of the Skirich sect was furious. Several days had passed by the time he received the news. His woman had been suppressed by Su Yan. This was a great humiliation. The young master of the Skirich sect naturally had to respond. Similarly, the news of Su Yan on the verge of death spread and caused a huge commotion. For a time, the storm could be said to be terrifying. Shocking news continued to spread. Some people saw experts from the underworld, the Odd Heaven sect, and the other sects returning from the depths of the golden treasury. The celestial quartz treasure is of great importance. They don't want the celestial court's treasure to fall into the hands of the young master of the Skirich sect. Ruthless set up a trap and killed so many of their experts. The young paragons of the major sects are about to make a move. The news spread faster and faster, and it had already reached the depths of the golden treasury. What? Su Yin is still alive. A certain golden graveyard was silent for a long time as it listened to the discussions of the cultivators passing by. It was furious, and it raised its head and roared, "How dare you? What bullshit little bastard Skirich? Who gave him that title? And the underworld, the Odd Heaven sect, and the Xian people. Wait for this beast god to come out of seclusion, and I'll let you know how red the flowers are." The Baokai was furious. At the same time, it was anxious. Su Yan's primordial spirit was heavily injured and seemed to be on the verge of death. Moreover, he still had to face various enemies. This was a good news. Chapter 1570. Did you guys hear that? The third stage of the Emperor Road was vast and boundless. Some of the realms were very dangerous. Even the most powerful true immortals would die in some of the secret realms. The third stage of the Emperor Road was filled with treasures, secret realms of the universe. And the ruins of sects legend had it that this was once the gathering place of a mysterious sect in ancient history. However, it was destroyed for unknown reasons. This was also the golden battlefield where the top 100 would be determined. The quality of the top 100 was shocking. Any one of them was an extremely terrifying, true immortal expert. They had hopes of reaching the grand heavenly realm in the future, and even perfected golden immortals. It could be said that this batch of people would be heroes who would walk out of the undying heavenly domain in the future. It had to be said that the third stage of the Emperor Road was full of legends. There were many opportunities and treasures that were extinct in the outside world, of course. Some of the treasure realms were extremely dangerous and difficult to explore. Even the number one supreme being of the Xian people had to return empty-handed. In an ancient land, the soil was golden. It was a strange world. Even the sand was golden. It was like a boundless desert. It was shocking to the soul. There was no end to it at all. Many cultivators were exploring this place, trying to find something. However, even true immortals could not stay here for long. The main reason was that the temperature was ridiculous. The temperature was so high that true immortals felt like they were being roasted on fire. I heard it. Someone gasped as he looked around the golden world. It seemed to be coming from underground. You all heard it. Looks like it's not an illusion. They were horrified. They did not know what kind of great opportunities were hidden in this special treasure realm. Even the number one supreme being of the Xian people came here, but he did not manage to enter. As time passed, this place became a paradise for adventurers. They tried to dig a way out. Unfortunately, no one could do it. Gradually, no one cared about this place anymore. Could it be a ghost? Even the powerful number one supreme being of the Xian people couldn't open this treasure realm. Could it be that there are Yin spirits living under the ground? That seems possible, but it's a little too inconceivable. A group of people gathered together to discuss. They were strong and had seen a lot. They immediately felt that this ancient land was not to be underestimated. A bunch of ignorant fools. What Yin spirits? I, the beast god, am here. Hurry up and greet me. Suddenly, an arrogant voice erupted. It was extremely strange, sounding from below the golden earth layer. When it entered their ears, it was like waves of thunder. What? There really are living creatures in here. The expressions of the group of cultivators changed drastically. They were both surprised and overjoyed. Just where did this self-proclaimed beast god come from? How did he get in here? Buzz. The older cultivator quickly took out a space-time treasure. This was a silver mirror that could see through the mysteries of heaven and earth. It directly shone down on the golden earth to see what the creatures inside looked like. However, no matter how astonishing the power of the space-time secret treasure was, the golden earth of this ancient land was grand and peerless. It was like a boundless sea of fire was spread across the sea of stars, emitting an ancient divine might that was hard for people to imagine. Nothing could be seen on the silver ancient mirror. Take what? What's there to see? Discontent could be heard coming from underground. It seemed that because it was too far away, the voice was originally a roar, but when it reached this place, it was very weak. It required a powerful spiritual sense to catch it. However, they were all true immortals and could catch any trace of it. I, the beast god, have comprehended nature. How can you little things peek in my dragon face? All of you, listen up. Go back and tell the son of the sky-reaching turtle to crawl over here. I, the beast god, will chop him up. Outside, the group of people was so frightened that their legs trembled and cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Just what was the background of this crazy and arrogant person that made the Tongtion young master crawl over? What the F***CK? They were scared stiff and felt that it was even more ferocious than the young devil king. Sir, it's here. Before long, experts from the Xian people arrived to investigate. The first supreme of the Xian people attached great importance to this golden land of treasure. Before he left, he gave the order to inform him immediately if there were any movements. Xian Mo came. His expression was solemn, and his divine light flashed like lightning. He asked a group of cultivators nearby. He knew very well that the first supreme of the Xian people gave up the fortune of 10,000 strong for the mysterious treasure. His destination was most likely here. When he figured out what had just happened, Xian Mo's expression changed drastically. Someone had probably snuck into this land of fortune. Furthermore, this person had humiliated the sky-reaching young master. Could this person be a young supreme? This is troublesome. Xian Mo sucked in a breath of cold air and quickly said, "You guys guard this place. Try not to let anyone get close. I'll go back immediately and inform the first supreme to come. We must open this land of treasure before the other sects." Why does this voice sound so familiar? Zhu Sheng picked his ear and thought to himself, something's wrong. He patrolled the golden land of treasure in shock and felt that the words coming from underground sounded familiar. He immediately became alert and felt that this was no small matter. Zhu Sheng found an excuse and left. He spread the news that a monster had been born in the land of treasure and clamored for the sky-reaching young master to crawl over and accept his death. This caused a commotion, and the news spread like wildfire. Young Master Tongtion, is this bad luck? Many people were astonished. Needless to say, the news of the sky-reaching young master's name had attracted a lot of attention. The experts were speechless. Was this really one of the top 3 experts on the Emperor rankings? Since the Celestial Court's conflict, all sorts of monsters had jumped out. Someone actually dared to threaten him to crawl over. The Xian people's first supreme had once explored the land of the golden treasure, but he returned without any success. Someone whispered, could it be that the fortune has been taken by someone else? It's hard to say. It's said that the creature is a madman. He sings all day long, and his singing is especially unpleasant. He says something about a little swallow wearing a flowery dress. Who's the little swallow? This caused quite a stir, and many people came to investigate. However, 2 days later, this matter finally caused a huge commotion. The Xian people's first supreme had indeed rushed over to the land of the golden treasure. This undoubtedly meant that the golden treasure was of great importance, and the Xian people's first supreme had come after hearing the news. His heart was not calm. Back on the Emperor Road's battle platform, he had sensed that something had attracted the attention of the Sun Mother Sutra. The Sun Mother Sutra was the most powerful celestial art in history. After being reenacted by the black mist in his body, it had almost become a complete celestial art. Then, something that could attract the attention of this celestial art was definitely not ordinary. It might be a sutra of the same level. He had once speculated that it might be the legendary Sun Mother Sutra. The 2 most powerful Mother Sutras in prehistory, the Sun Mother Sutra and the Moon Mother Sutra. Although only a few clans knew about these 2 sutras, he knew very well what these 2 sutras meant. If the Sun Mother Sutra was really here, or if it was the origin of the orthodoxy that had mastered the Sun Mother Sutra, this was simply a heaven-defying opportunity. Unfortunately, he was too far away from the destination back then, and could not arrive in time. Similarly, He had confirmed the approximate coordinates. This land of the treasure was the source of his attention, and now someone had arrived before him. This greatly shocked the Xian people's first supreme. Who could be so fast? The Xian people's first supreme being has arrived. Quite a few people had come to explore this area, but unfortunately, they couldn't find any entrance to the golden land of treasure. They all stared blankly, but they also looked at the Xian people's first supreme being, hoping that he could fight his way in. What bullshit first supreme being? Who gave him that title? Crawl over here and sing me a song of submission. The creature at the bottom of the golden land of treasure became more and more unrestrained, biting whoever it caught. It really wanted to offend all the experts in this world. In short, everyone felt that this was most likely a lunatic. Its mouth was unforgiving, but who knew how powerful its true body was? That brat with black stench all over his body. Come in if you have the guts. I'm going to beat you to death. The savage voice continued to explode. The people gathered here were all terrified, thinking that this lunatic was really ridiculous. His entire body was overflowing with stench. It was clearly an extremely terrifying energy leaking out, producing a scene of black light collapsing the heavens. Bastard, who is it down there? This is simply preposterous. Come out if you have the guts. CNMO and the others were furious. They glared angrily at the golden land of treasure, wishing they could tear his mouth apart. The Xian people's first supreme being's expression was cold. From beginning to end, he didn't show any expression. Everyone was shocked by his demeanor. He really did have invincible divine might. He stood above the golden land of treasure and suddenly let out a loud roar. The surroundings trembled, and the sun and moon lost their light. A large group of experts trembled. Their bodies trembled, and they were all sent flying. The group was shocked. Just how powerful was this Dharma power? The roar shook the starry sky. Even this vast, ancient land shook violently. Crack! All of a sudden, a crack appeared on the ground where the golden treasure was hidden. The crack was very small, and it appeared very suddenly. The Xian people's first supreme being's eyes widened. He directly rushed into the golden land of treasure through the crack. Oh my God, the mysterious land of treasure has opened. A large group of experts shouted excitedly. They followed him. Unfortunately, the crack only lasted for a short while before it healed on its own, as if it really had a life of its own. The onlookers were in an uproar. News spread everywhere. They felt that there was most likely an incredible treasure below. Just the quality of the soil was extraordinary. Zhu Sheng frowned. This was too much of a coincidence. How could the first supreme be so coincidental to discover the entrance? He felt that the living beings below did it on purpose. The battlefield of the foreign races, the great solar realm, rose slowly like a rising sun. It hung above Su Yan's head and shone with divine radiance. Su Yan looked holy and dignified. His body shone, dignified and powerful. He was also filled with killing intent that made one's heart tremble. It took him several days to master the great solar realm. This secret treasure was extremely shocking. It contained vast space-time energy. Su Yan woke up. He stood up and looked down at a peerless beauty. Plop! Wu Qili's legs went weak, and she collapsed to the ground. Her clothes were in a mess, revealing some snow-white and tender skin. It was alluring. What are you doing? Seeing Su Yan walking toward her, Wu Qili panicked. Her palm-sized face was filled with panic, and her snow-white and slender legs were trembling. She knew very well that this person even dared to suppress the Xian people's Xian biling, let alone her. Wu Qili prided herself on her beauty. If she fell into the hands of the enemy, she would be a fat lamb. The consequences were unimaginable. What should we do with Wu Qili? It's the first of the month. Everyone, please vote. Chapter 1571. Su Yan stood between heaven and earth. The great solar realm hung behind his head, shining with golden divine radiance that flowed around Su Yan's body. It was filled with great divine might, but it also had an unbearable temperature. When all of this rushed toward Wu Qili, she felt as if she was in a raging fire. The pain was unbearable. She felt as if her jade body was about to burn, and the armor she wore melted into molten iron. This feeling was too painful. She wanted nothing more than to strip naked immediately. She didn't want to suffer such torture. Wu Chili's heart was filled with panic. It was a world of difference from her previous high and mighty appearance. She said in a flustered tone, "Don't do anything rash. If you completely anger the Grandmaster Skirich, young master, you won't have a good ending." "Where's the Grandmaster Skirich, young master?" Su Yan asked. What do you want?" Wu Chili was shocked by Su Yan's words. Was he going to find the Grandmaster Skirich, young master? She knew the young Devil King's methods. Although it was impossible for the Grandmaster Skirich, young master, to lose to Su Yan, she didn't forget the tragic state of the Celestial Court. "Speak. I don't want to waste time on you," Su Yan said indifferently. "That's impossible," Wu Chili screamed. If she spoke and even brought Su Yan over, it would be equivalent to betraying the Grandmaster Skirich, young master. The outcome was obvious. The Grandmaster Skirich, young master, would definitely take revenge on those who betrayed him. Chi! The great solar realm scattered divine flames one after another. The temperature was too high as it rushed toward Wu Chili. From this moment on, Wu Chili felt that she was really going to be burned alive. She was in pain as she realized that Su Yan was torturing her. Her head, full of glossy black hair, began to turn into ashes. Her tattered clothes also began to melt. Suddenly, Su Yan stabilized the great solar realm and said indifferently, "It's a pity to burn you to death like this. Why don't I sell you on the black market? I believe the price will be much higher than Xian Bailing." "You sold Xian Bailing?" Wu Chili was terrified. Who was she? Grandmaster Tong Tian's woman. She believed that once she was sold on the black market, the result would not be too miserable. There would definitely be many old demons thirsting for her delicate body. The more she thought about it, the more frightened she became. In the end, she gradually gave in. Su Yan had left an indelible shadow in her heart. It was as if he had become the master of her life and had explained some things to her clearly. Young Master Tong Tian is scheming to seize a precious treasure of the heavens and the earth. However, the holy maiden of the sovereign sect has gone as well. He's changed his mind and intends to seize this opportunity to suppress the holy maiden of the sovereign sect. Su Yan wasn't interested in their scheme, and he frowned as he said, "What precious treasure? Make yourself clear." "Divine fetus stone." Wu Chili's words shocked Su Yan greatly. He had once obtained a star origin stone, and he had paid attention to some rare treasures that could be used to refine level 9 life essence evolution fluid. The divine fetus stone was one of them. According to legend, it required the heavens and the earth and the universe to nurture for 1,000,000 years before it could slowly take form. It was even to the extent that it could only be nurtured in a unique and shocking place. Strictly speaking, the rare stone nurtured in such a place could be directly refined into a super heavy artifact. The value of this object was rather shocking. If news of it were to spread, it would cause a storm of blood in the gold treasury. The divine fetus stone was something that Grandmaster Tong Tian had discovered by accident. However, he hadn't expected that there were already a few young exalts who were preparing to secretly seize the divine fetus stone. Lead the way. Su Yan was tempted. Level 9 life essence evolution fluid was too important. Now that he had the chance to obtain the divine fetus stone, Su Yan naturally wouldn't let it slip by. Wu Chili's psychological defenses had already been broken. She was obedient and completely submitted. She did whatever she wanted. Su Yan had arrived at the gold treasury. This place was different from the 10,000 races battlefield. It was filled with the desolate aura of time. It was a vast and boundless ancient land that was mysterious and unfathomable. There was also the stench of blood. It was very heavy and a little pungent. It had been a few months since the golden treasure ground had been opened. Su Yan was indeed a little late to arrive. He did not know how big the scale of the battle was, but there must have been a lot of casualties. He could see cultivators searching for corpses everywhere. Su Yan frowned. This was the black market. They were selling corpses, even the corpses of true immortals. Many chambers of commerce secretly made a fortune. They transported the corpses they salvaged out and sold them on the black market. True immortals are nothing in the Emperor Road battlefield. The world is boundless, and there are countless true immortals. Suyin thought to himself. It was said that after the Emperor Road battlefield ended, a grand heavenly realm expert would be born. There were even some with amazing talents who would establish their own sects. There was no doubt that a grand heavenly realm expert was qualified to establish his own orthodoxy. Generally speaking, if a clan had a grand heavenly realm expert overseeing it, it could be considered a top clan. This showed how powerful a grand heavenly realm expert was. In the Void universe, this kind of person could enslave several ancient planets with life. They could control countless slaves and beauties. The grand heavenly realm was the goal pursued by all the experts in the world. Once one reached this step, it was like ascending to the heavens. They could easily obtain a grand ancestor expert from any immortal orthodoxy and wield the power of life and death. Along the way, the number of cultivators he encountered was limited. The gold treasury was huge. As time passed, more and more experts rushed into the depths. Suyin also found many evil lands that reeked of blood. Many people had died. Their blood had dyed the ground red. It was a ghastly sight. No one dared to go near. Suyin observed with the eye of heaven evasion. The evil lands that reeked of blood were filled with great fear. Suyin was shocked. It was mainly because his primordial spirit was severely injured. His combat strength was not at its peak. Even his mystical gate's power was greatly reduced. I must find a way to repair some of my shattered primordial spirit. Suyin clenched his fist slightly. He was looking forward to finding primordial soul-type, true immortal great medicine along the way. Although he did not expect to heal the wounds caused by the sword slash of time in a short time, repairing a part of his primordial spirit was very important for the time being. I wonder where Yin Kei and the others went. Is Bao Kai in the gold treasury? Suyin's heart was heavy. It had been more than a decade since he was trapped in the land of darkness. Now that he stood in the true immortal realm, he thought of many things in the past. Was his prehistoric big brother doing well? Had his problem been solved? Back then, he was besieged by the 3 progenitor experts and suffered a terrible injury to his primordial spirit. Back then, the reincarnation medicine Suyin dug out from the reincarnation universe was incomplete. Although his big brother had used the stealing heaven art to mature the reincarnation medicine, it was not the strongest. He did not know if there were any ultimate precious medicines in the gold treasury or the Emperor Road battlefield. What was in the legendary Emperor Road's final destination? Suyin was looking forward to his next experience. We're here. At this moment, Wu Qili's words interrupted Suyin's thoughts. His eyes were like lightning as he looked ahead. His mind was shaken. Although his primordial spirit was damaged, Suyin could still see that the world ahead was extraordinary. The vast territory was brightly colored. Ordinary people would not be able to see the uniqueness of this place. However, Suyin looked down from above and saw a huge 5 elements field that covered the sky and the stars. This was an extremely rare 5 elements treasure land. It absorbed the essence of the 5 elements. It was like a huge, strange stone that breathed in and out the 5 elements essence chi. After experiencing the changes of time and territory, this terrain slowly formed 5 grotto heavens. The 5 passageways emitted different colors. They represented the 5 elements. According to the information obtained from Wu Qili, when the Skirich young master discovered this place, many people had already entered by mistake. They reaped great rewards. This 5 elements treasure land formed many natural treasures. Slowly, the news spread and attracted the attention of the young paragons. After all, if such a character was involved, the other envious experts could only give up. Almost a month had passed, and it was hard to say if the fortune inside had been taken away by someone else. Suyin was not in a hurry to enter the 5 elements treasure land. The creation inside was definitely shocking. However, the grotto heavens that had formed after a long time definitely hid something. Soon, Suyin approached one of the entrances. The blue grotto heavens contained a majestic life aura that was like a spring breeze. The cave entrance was huge, and the rock walls were hard and sturdy. Suyin explored around and knocked on it. Gradually, he was pleasantly surprised. Wu Chili did not dare to say anything. She felt that Su Yin had discovered something. After all, he was a master of the occult arts. In the end, Su Yin took control of the heaven-opening writing brush. Su Yin, who was in the true immortal realm, had increased his mastery of the heaven-opening writing brush by many times. Although his primordial spirit was severely injured, the heaven-opening writing brush gave him an extremely strong spiritual sense. He felt that he could control the entire grotto heaven. Open. Soon, Su Yin discovered that there was a substance flowing underground. It was very fast, like a bolt of lightning that was about to return to nothingness. In an instant, Su Yan's eyes widened. The Eye of Heaven escape was resurrected. It pierced through the rock wall and locked onto a ball of blue substance flowing underground. Open! Su Yan quickly attacked. The tip of the heaven-opening writing brush shattered the hard rock wall. A layer of stone fell off, and blue jade appeared in front of Su Yan's eyes. The jade was bright and was accompanied by a fragrance. It was like a special medicinal fragrance that seeped into one's heart. Sky blue jade, Wu Chili stammered. She was shocked. This was a rare jade that could be used to refine artifacts or refine medicine. It contained an astonishing life aura. However, there was an extremely large amount of sky blue jade stored here. This was a huge amount of wealth that even made her eyes red with envy. Su Yan's expression did not change. The heaven-opening writing brush shattered the layers of sky blue jade. Wu Chili's heart ached. The entire piece of sky blue jade was like a small mountain. Just like that, a large part of it was destroyed by Su Yan. This was a waste of God's gift. However, when the heaven-opening writing brush pierced through the sky blue jade mine, it finally stopped. It was a ball of blue substance. It was like a blue qilin that spewed out rich essence qi. After absorbing some medicinal qi, Su Yan's fatigue dissipated. His temperament was ethereal like an immortal. Wu Chili was completely dumbfounded. This was natural divine water, a rare item. Strictly speaking, this kind of divine water that had been nurtured for millions of years had terrifying effects. It was a sacred healing medicine and even had a certain effect of retaining one's youthful appearance. Su Yan was pleasantly surprised. He sensed that his damaged primordial spirit was faintly healing under the nourishment of the true water. There was no doubt that this thing had a miraculous effect on his primordial spirit. Hey, what rich water essence! Sky blue jade. I didn't expect such a huge treasure to be hidden below. No, this treasure has nurtured heaven and earth divine water. What a great creation! At that moment, several experts with strong Inchi rushed out of the inner world. The leader was an expert in black armor. When he saw the ball of blue divine water, his eyes began to turn red. Underworld. Su Yan's eyes turned cold. He could sense that this group of people belonged to the underworld. Kid, this blessed land is the territory of the underworld. How dare you barge in here to dig for treasures? You're quite bold. The leader looked at Su Yan and said coldly, "Since it's your first offense and you've found this treasure for me, take a piece of sky blue jade and get lost."